be friends.
Have you not?
And here we go.
And I've been sitting here for 15 minutes and I have been completely muted. I am an idiot. No wonder nobody's been watching. I've been muted this whole damn time. I'm sorry. I am a dunce. I haven't streamed in so long I forgot to unmute my microphone. For 15 minutes I've been sitting here and my damn mic's been muted. Man, I am rusty as hell. All this time I've been sitting here, I've been muted. Just blabbing away, and oh my god, my mic's been muted. Oh, this is definitely going on a blooper clip. All this time I've just been sitting here flapping my gums and the mic's been muted. Hi, everybody. And I tried to do this semi-professionally and do a good job, and I had my mic muted this whole damn freaking time. Okay. Nope. We're not going to just shut down the stream and call it a night. We're going to... Okay. Take 2. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Ambassadorial Cinemas. I'm your host, the Ambassador, and tonight is episode 3 of Ambassadorial Cinema. And tonight is the sci-fi edition. And over the next hour or so, or however long this goes on for, we're going to be discussing those cult classic, those sci-fi forgotten gems of the 80s and 90s, and even the very late 70s. But before we do all that, I'm definitely going to have to edit this and put it out again because I just can't. I can't believe I forgot to unmute my mic. Before we get into all the, get back into the discussion, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the share button, and make sure if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And make sure you hit the notification bell. I'm never going to hear the end of this. Never, ever, ever going to hear the end of this, especially from the missus. Damn, that doctor really did do a number on me. I forgot to mute my damn mic. Okay, let's try this again. Y'all might be asking, Ambassador, where have you been? Hi, LDG. Go ahead. Mock me. I don't care. Everybody else is going to, because everybody's going to be, hey, did y'all hear? Ambassador was going for 15 minutes, and he didn't even mute it. He didn't unmute his mic. Damn. LDG, yep, you're not wrong. Everybody and their mother's going to be mocking me. I'm laughing at myself. Yeah. Yep. LAG, your eyes are not deceiving you. I was muted for almost 15 minutes. I was just sitting here blabbing, just talking away, talking about the black hole, and I forgot to unmute my damn mic. Okay, before I get back into the discussion, a quick recap. You might be asking, you might not be asking, but Ambassador, where have you been? Where were you last Saturday night? Well, I've been dealing with some health issues over the last 2 weeks, and it has not been by any means fun. be soon 3 weeks ago, I went and got some shots in my back because most of you know I have back issues. Well, unfortunately, the doctor screwed the pooch. That's another way of saying he screwed up. Instead of doing the injections the proper way, I end up having air around my brain, and I come to find out because I just spent 2 days in the hospital the week that we just finished, and come to find out now. Okay, just to clarify something, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to keel over. I'm going to be around for a good long time yet. And what I have is not communicable, means you can't catch it. But I've been examined, I've been CT'd, I've been MRI'd, I've been EKG'd, I've had blood work done out of the wazoo, been looked over by a neurologist, been looked over by regular doctors, and the neurologist came back to tell me, yeah, not only did you have air around your brain from those injections you had on the 12th, but you also have something called chemical meningitis. Yeah. I've been dizzy as all get out. I've had trouble keeping my balance. I've had some really nasty headaches, and I have been in and out of the emergency room, well, a total of 4 times, and then finally admitted once, thankfully. And they finally got some decent doctors to take a look at me and order the right tests, order the right labs, and finally figure out what the hell's wrong with me. So, that's the brief recap on where I've been lately and where I was this past Saturday and where I've been earlier this week. So, anyhow, oh, LDG, damn. Well, question, it wasn't the other type of meningitis, was it? Or does she get shots in her back too? I'm just curious, LDG, if you know offhand. But that's where I've been. That's why I haven't been as active here on the channel. But like I said, as the doctors, as the neurologists, and everybody have told me, this will eventually rectify itself. I will get back to normal. All of my internal chemical balances and everything will stabilize, and I'll be right as rain. But unfortunately, that's fine, LDG and everything. I don't expect you to know all of it. So, but if you see Miss Yvette, our favorite astrophysicist, or excuse me, quantum physicist, you give her the ambassador's wishes, and I hope she recovers soon. And I'll make sure to include her in my prayers over the next little bit. But tonight we were up until 15 minutes ago talking about sci-fi films of the 80s and the 90s, not the big franchises, not the big productions that we all know and love like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever the case. Tonight we're talking about the more obscure. Tonight we're talking about those little cult classics that we all love, we all grew up on, and that we all enjoyed as kids and as adults. And up until a few minutes ago, when I was still muted, I was talking about a favorite of mine from the late 70s. I consider it semi 80s because it came out in 1979. And it was released by Walt Disney Studios when it was still Walt Disney Studios or Walt Disney Pictures. And it was one of their last in-house made major motion picture releases. And of course, I'm talking about The Black Hole. Now, this movie is by no means one of the greatest cinematic spectacles of all time. But it does have some interesting elements to it. It does have some interesting aspects to it. And it has been since I was a kid and I saw it on TV, because that's primarily how I watched it. I finally Love her. I love her to death. Mam Ambassador found a copy of it on DVD because, as far as I know, they have not yet done, or I don't know if they'll ever do either a Blu-ray or 4K transfer of the Black Hole. But this is a movie that has a very eclectic cast, to say the least. You have some veterans of the big screen. You have some lesser known actors and actresses. You have a voice performance by Ryan McDowell as the robot Vincent. At least I'm pretty sure it's Ryan McDowell. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And the things that the people remember is the big red robot Maximilian, named, I believe, after the actor who plays this big, bombastic, big ego. His ego's so huge it fills the entire room. Hans Reinhardt, played by Maximilian Schell. For those of you that might remember, I actually discussed another movie that he was in a few weeks ago and everything. He played the father of Taya Leone's character in the movie Deep Impact when I was discussing the movie's Deep Impact and Armageddon. And the special effects for this movie are, and I won't lie, I won't sugarcoat, they are very dated. The story is interesting. It is kind of a play on one of Shakespeare's, well, it was actually Shakespeare's last play, and that was, of course, The Tempest. And you can kind of put Hans Reinhardt in the place of Prospero, yet this is a more malevolent, a more crazy Prospero. This isn't the Prospero from The Tempest that most people would be familiar with. Reinhardt is kind of egomaniacal. He thinks he is the greatest scientist of all time. He thinks that he can do no wrong. And he will go to any and all lengths to pursue his goals, even at the cost of depriving other people of their own humanity. Because one of the things we discovered during the course of the black hole is that he completely roboticized, or you could call it a form of robotic lobotomy. And when the character Kate McRae, played by Yvette Mimieux, that's how I'm pronouncing her name. If it's wrong, I'm sorry. It's a very, very French name. It's very hard to pronounce, so don't pick on me. I've just been in the hospital this past week. Don't pick on me. And before I go any further, to the chat, Price is Right reviews. Price, good to see you too, buddy. Appreciate you stopping by this evening, and hope you can stick around. And well, as I often do, as it says on the title of the stream, it's an open panel. So if you got a sci-fi film from the 80s or the 90s that you want to discuss this evening, hit the link. But you have this very creepy and unnerving reveal of what the crew looks like, and their it's very frightening to a degree. And it's very shocking to see what Reinhardt has done to his own crew. And Kate McRae, her reaction to seeing one of these members of the crew basically lobotomized into being one of Reinhardt's slaves it's unnerving. To think that one human being can undervalue another human being's life so much for their own ends, it's frightening. It truly is. But one of the more interesting elements of this movie is, of course, the black hole itself. And even now, in the year 2023, we don't still have a clear picture of what a black hole actually looks like or how it particularly functions. We have some basic ideas. We know it's a very powerful gravity field. It can swallow everything, including light. And if you ever get out to deep space and you come across one of these things, you might as well just say your prayers and hope your will's filled out. But how they actually went about visualizing the black hole was actually rather ingenious because, like I mentioned, this was Disney's last major motion picture that was done all in house. They did their own effects, did their own sets, did their own models, the whole shooting match. And from what I can recall, they had this massive plexig- plexiglass, clear plastic industrial size tank. Price that's not 80s or 90s. Sorry. We're talking specifically 80s and 90s sci-fi. Oh, are you referencing Interstellar as in, oh, you're referencing Interstellar as, are you saying that Interstellar gives us a better idea of what a black hole looks like? Is that what you're saying? You're going to have to clarify a little bit. But what they end up doing is they took all sorts of colors of paint and everything, or well, particular colors of paint, and they put it into this massive plexiglass tank. And they had it set on a motor, and they had these paddles or something inside the tank that was stirring the paint around it. It was done in a certain way where it actually looked like it was a vortex. And they end up filming the tank and everything. And what you see on the screen is actually anything. Again, like I said, the effects for this movie are dated, but at the same time, they were rather ingenious for their time. Nowadays, they could probably make that black hole look absolutely fearsome and absolutely frightening. Give it the gravitas that it really, give it the epicness that you would expect. But for a film in the late 1970s, the models were really good. They were using the computer controlled cameras like what was developed for Star Wars and so on, and the models for the Palomino and for the Cygnus, Hans Reinhardt ship, really, really stunning work done. The matte paintings for the space and everything, the backgrounds and everything, were, I think they still are rather beautiful even nowadays. The interesting thing with the backgrounds and everything, the matte paintings that they did. Yeah. Oh no, Price, you're fine. You're fine, bud. No worries. So, black. What I know of black holes is the are woven into space time as well as an infinite gravity mass source. Yeah, that's pretty much that pretty much sums up a black hole price. So, but what they ended up doing to illuminate the backgrounds, illuminate these matte painting backgrounds, as they poked holes in the canvas, and they brought in these massive lamps, and they actually had to have a fire department there on site because these lamps got so hot that if they weren't careful, that the canvases, the matte paintings would have caught on fire. So they had to have fire department on standby there in the sound stage, in the studio and everything when they were filming those particular shots to make sure everything didn't go up in smoke, essentially. And it's it's really a testament to the ingenuity of these studios back in the day when you couldn't just punch everything into a computer and poof, it comes out in all its pixelated glory, or it's all its CGI glory. They really had to stretch their muscles and everything, their ingenuity and their mental muscles to figure out how to do this. But the one other thing that's the big standout is, of course, you've got, like I said, you got two big legends of the silver screen and everything, particularly from the '60s and the '70s. You've got Anthony Perkins, and you've got Ernest Borgnine. And Anthony Perkins' performance in this movie, he plays this scientist and everything who has this absolute fascination with Maximilian Schell's character, Hans Reinhardt. But unfortunately, he let's see, I'm trying to remember his name. I think it was Alex something. Where are you? Yeah, Dr. Alex Durant. And he meets a rather sticky end at the hands of Reinhardt's robot, Maximilian. He's standing there, and it's right after Kate McRae has taken the mask off one of the humanoid robots, discovered that they're in fact human, and she and Anthony Perkins' character tries to get her out of there and everything, try and get her back to their ship, the Palomino, and Reinhardt sends Maximilian after him, and Perkins' character is staying there between her and between Maximilian and the robot. And if you remember Maximilian, he was all red. He floated in the midair, and he was bigger than everybody else on there. And he had these. Okay, he had his shoulders, but he had these rotating things and everything, or these rotating devices and everything that had these different types of arms. And one of them was a whirling blade that could cut through anything. And what ends up happening is Maximilian pretty much eviscerates Alex. Granted, you don't see it because, well, it is still a Disney movie, so they can't really go all blood and guts. Although you can imagine a high-speed powered metallic blade just essentially mowing a hole in the middle of somebody, and you see Perkins's reaction as the blades are cutting through him, and you can imagine the blood and the guts and everything that just would be spilling out of him. And Reinhardt calls for the security robots, and he has Dr. McRae taken down to the hospital to turn her into a humanoid robot as well, and orders all the security robots on the ship to destroy the crew of the Palomino. And that was the one really creepy, unnerving death of the entire movie. I mean, granted, there are some other creepy, unnerving moments, but that for me is one of the more memorable ones, was the death of Anthony Perkins' character. The other aspect of this movie is, of course, the ending. Because Reinhardt's ship ends up getting caught in the black hole, and it's getting sucked in. And unfortunately, one of the other crew members of the Palomino decides he's going to make a run for it and leaves everybody else behind, and he ends up getting blown up. If we're talking 80s or 90s sci-fi, that's a lot of fun films between the Star Trek, Next Generation films, Lost in Space, Predator, and Independence Day. My go-to faves. Yeah, those are good ones or anything. The ones I'm talking about, at least the ones I'm going to talk about, Price, are the more cult classic, the more lesser known ones, the ones that don't get talked about that much. But like I said, it's an open panel, so um anything's fair game, really. So, but as I was saying, the other interesting aspect of the black hole is, of course, the ending, because the Cygnus gets sucked into the black hole, and the survivors of the Palomino, Joseph Bottoms, Robert Forster, and the actress who plays Kate McRae, their characters, plus the other robot Vincent, they escape in another rocket and everything that was being used by Reinhardt to probe the black hole and everything. But what ends up happening, instead of them being able to escape, they actually have to go through the black hole. And the visuals for that portion of the film have been very long debated, because it's almost like a journey through, I almost want to call it like a abbreviated version of Dante's Inferno, so to speak. because while the survivors of the Palomino are traveling through the black hole, the Cygnus and its crew crash essentially um, in the black hole itself, and the crew, you see this very hellish landscape. No, I'm not necessarily Price. I'm not saying Star Trek: The Next Generation isn't a classic, but I'm not. I would not say it's a cult classic because it's a very well known. Um, it's a very well known franchise. I'm talking the more lesser known films, the lesser known franchises, or ones that weren't a franchise at all. Really, that's the ones I'm discussing. But the ending of this movie has been a long debate about what exactly is its meaning, because the majority of the movie is it's a pretty straightforward space adventure type of film, but the ending itself is more of a philosophical take. It's like you're thinking to yourself, well, the crew of the ship was seemingly innocent and now they're stuck in hell with Reinhardt. But the other interesting thing is it's seemingly you see Reinhardt and Maximilian floating out in space, and they seem to almost like meld or join together or something, or Reinhardt gets trapped inside Maximilian, and you see Maximilian standing on this rocky outcropping, but you have a close up of Maximilian's head, and you see these eyes moving inside. You realize that it's Reinhardt, and Reinhardt's trapped inside Maximilian now. You're fine, Price. I understand. It's good that you have some company. So, anyway, the this is my interpretation of the ending of the black hole. Reinhardt ends up trapped inside Maximilian. That's his punishment, because he is, in a lot of ways, the quintessential devil. He has enslaved all these other souls who are now stuck in hell because of him. And it's, as one of the other robots, Bob, says to the crew of the Palomino, there's no way of reversing the process. Death is their only release. Unfortunately, death isn't their only release, because now they're stuck in hell, seemingly, or at least in what you could maybe call purgatory, until. Now, granted, this is kind of a more Christian-y or Christian, or maybe even Catholic take on the ending of the black hole. But then you have this. You see this hallway, this very brightly lit crystalline hallway that is you see this almost like angelic figure floating down, and then you see the Palomino, or not the Palomino, but the probe ship from the Cygnus going down this hallway, and it comes out on the other side of the black hole, and that's essentially where the movie ends. You see the ship going towards what is seemingly like this new world that the survivors of the Palomino will eventually get to explore. But yeah, the black hole, it is a very campy, is a very cheesy film. I'm not gonna lie, but it's one of those movies that it has its interesting aspects to it. It's a movie that I will absolutely watch and oftentimes rewatch and everything. I know I came very close to everything because I finally got home from the hospital last night, or well, it was late evening or early evening. And after we got done having dinner, me and the missus, I was like, okay, I'm going to get cleaned up. I'm going to take a shower, and then I'm going to sit down and just vegetate and watch a movie. And she's like, okay, you've earned it. So, but I want to give a very warm welcome to a regular here on the Ambassadorial Wing. You know him, you love him. He's my friend. He's your friend. If he isn't your friend, You need to make him your friend. The one and the only, Mr. Zach Leary.
Yo,
Try and get this thing to work. Hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy?
doing well, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, bud. So, what's up with you?
Yeah, not much. Just kind of hanging out.
You working tonight?
Nope.
Oh, you off tonight? Okay, cool.
I am off. Yeah, on a rare occasion. So
Yeah.
getting a little editing and stuff done. You know,
Mhm.
new Top Shelf
I
logo.
gotcha.
So that looks pretty cool.
Right on. So, you got.
So I don't want to stifle. Yeah, I do. I got a couple.
you're
I don't want to stifle your flow
No.
here. So which ones have you talked
Well, I
about?
just so far, well, aside from my major goof because I forgot to mute my mic the first 15 minutes of the stream.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes of the stream, I'm just going,
Oh, dude.
and
You know
I
what the
finally
worst
look down,
ever?
I'm like,
I'll do you one better.
Mhm.
I have interviewed celebrities on some of these podcasts without the fucking thing recording. You're like on your 10th question and you're like, oh my God, you know, your heart sinks. Oh shit, I got to tell them. Those are the worst.
All of us. So
Yeah.
yes. So, all right. Cult classic sci-fi films of the 80s and 90s. Go, my friend.
I want to hear
Give me
which
one.
ones you talked about first.
Well, so far I've only talked about the black hole. That's it.
The black hole. Okay. Well, what came to mind, I don't know why, is Mars Attacks.
I was going to talk about that too. That's
Nice.
okay. Yes, please,
Perfect.
by all means. Mars Attacks. I love that movie.
You know,
I love
it's kind of criminally underrated. People don't like it, but I've liked it from day
I
one.
love that movie. Oh, I did too. I love that movie. I remember going. I saw the trailer for it, and I looked at Mother Ambassador. I was like, "Mom, we need to see this." She's like, "Yeah, we do need to see this." So, please, Zach, your thoughts on Mars Attacks?
Okay, so look, I mean, people.
You love it back.
Okay, so people just don't understand what it is. Like they don't get it's a comedy. Like it's a funny comedy. It kind of it ruins it. It ruins every trope. I mean, this is how you know what kind of movie you're watching. Is they send Jack Black off. They send him up as like the main character in the opening scene, and he's out there with his family, and it's the heroic thing. Oh, Mr. Soldier going off, gets killed the first like 10, 15 minutes of the movie. That's when you know what kind of a movie it is. You know, and the thing is, the aliens, it doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't have to. They're just there to cause problems. They're cantankerous. There's so many great scenes. Like my favorite scene is Nicholson gives this great, like impassioned speech to the alien leader and just gets killed immediately. You know, and by the way, here's a funny piece of trivia. So they had told Tim Burton, they said, "Are you out of your fucking mind? You can't kill Jack Nicholson." And so they said that. The studio told him that. And he goes, "Fuck you. I'm going to hire him in a second part and kill him twice. Go fuck yourself." So that was his reaction. "You can't kill Jack. I'll do it twice."
Well, knowing Nicholson, he was like, "Yeah, go ahead, kill me, Tim. I don't care."
Yeah, Jack don't care. Jack don't care. But the studio said, they're like, "You can't do that. He's Jack Nicholson." You know, so he played a scoundrel dude too. He played like a sleazeball casino hotel owner or something, you know, and he gets blown up.
Well, developer, a wannabe developer. Yeah.
Is that okay?
Oh my God.
But, you know, you had some great scenes, great little character parts, and everybody loves Tim. So you've got all these great cameos. Danny DeVito shows up at the end, and you got, is Ving Rhames? Is it Ving Rhames or?
No, that was Jim Brown, the
Jim
football
Brown.
player. Jim Brown,
Okay.
the football player.
Well, he did a great
Pam
job.
Grier, Yes, he did.
Yeah,
You've got
Pam.
Pam Grier, you've got
She's
Jim
great.
Brown, you've got Danny DeVito, you've got Tom Jones, you've got Glenn Close as the first lady,
Yeah.
you've got Natalie Portman. You've got Natalie Portman as the first daughter, who just a few years later were going to be Queen Amidala, Senator Amidala, and Lady Skywalker in the prequels. you've, got, you've got Juno worker from Beetlejuice as the grandma. You've got Power. You've got is it no? It's not. Is it Joe Don Baker? No, it's Joe Don Baker, because it's not Powers Booth, because Powers Booth is the one of the officers in Hunt for Red October.
Oh, Pierce Brosnan we have too.
Yes, Pierce. You got Pierce Brosnan. You've got Michael
Yeah.
J. Fox. You've got Sarah Jessica Parker. This is a cast, like, how in the hell did they get this cast? And you have to think to yourself, oh yeah, it's Tim Burton. He gets his cast. I'm surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I am not surprised that there wasn't a cameo or something for Christopher Lee and Johnny Depp in this damn movie. That would have been the absolute perfect. Just okay. Just hypothetically,
Who would I cast him as? Who would I cast him as?
No,
Chris Lee. I can tell you who I'd cast Chris Lee as, though.
Okay.
I'll let you do it. But Chris Lee, have him play one of the generals. That's the easiest casting ever.
Oh, and Rob Steiger. Rob Steiger is the main general. Mm-hmm. And you also have, for heaven's sakes, Paul Winfield. Captain Tyrell from Star Trek 2.
Yeah, great fucking cast. Another favorite scene, and then say what you're going to say, is when Nicholson is talking to, like, the president of India. And he's like, yeah, the aliens are here. They're making peace. He's like, no! On the phone, he gets the call from the president of India or something. They want to make peace. Dude! So lots of great fucking, funny scenes that kind of stick out.
Mars Attacks is just a ball of absolute absurdity and hilarity, and it is one of my all-time favorite movies. I need to get this movie on Blu-ray, or if they've done a 4K transfer, I need to get it on 4K, because I need that movie in my life. I
would love for it to be re-updated, kind of special edition with new CGI. That would really be cool.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. But the other thing I love about this, it plays right into, like, the 1950s, 1960s sci-fi movies, because you look at the design of the flying, the Martian saucers, their weaponry, their suits, all of that. And the crazy thing is, this is a movie based on a line of trading cards put out by Topps.
Is it really?
Really think about that. This is a movie based on a line of trading cards, and Tim Burton's like, you know what? I'm going to take this line of trading cards and I'm going to make a movie out of it.
Well, that's how he probably got a lot of that beginning budget. Like, look, we already got a few million from these fucking trading cards, so come on. But this is really a tragic element of the film, and I don't know why I remember all this shit about Mars Attacks, but this just came to me as we were talking. Is they initially were going to do the aliens in stop motion, which I think is really a sadness that it wasn't.
Yeah, but at the same time, it would have been such a pain in the ass to do all of those Martians in stop motion, because it would have taken forever to do every scene, because let's be honest, granted they aren't there at the outset, but they are more prominent as the movie goes along. And it honestly, live action and stop motion doesn't always blend well together, but granted, this is early 90s or mid 90s CGI. The CGI has aged very well. there's one other character we forgot to mention, and that's the vice president played by Martin Short.
Oh yeah, I mean Martin
What-
Short,
what-
another great guy.
What a pervert! What an absolute pervert! Tries to
He's
make
so
him-
underrated.
He is one. This and the
Three Musketeers.
never saw him in the Three Musketeers. No, you're thinking of the Three Amigos.
Three Amigos. Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Three Amigos. It was
Him
him
and Steve Martin.
and Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
That was almost like a semi SNL reunion because I think all of them, at least Chase and Martin for sure, were cast members. I don't know if Martin Short was ever a cast member for
Yes.
SNL.
Yes.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. But he played his character, the vice president. No, he's not the vice president. He's the press secretary. He's the press secretary for the president. I don't think we ever
Yeah,
actually
he's so
saw the
good.
vice president in this.
He's so good. I mean,
But
his best stuff is his interviews, where he'll go on and just roast the shit out of the
Jimmy
host.
Glick. Jimmy Glick.
Well, no, you got to watch him just doing a standard interview. He'll just go on every
Oh,
interview
really?
and roast them. He said to Conan, he leans in and he sniffs and he goes, "Oh, is that Febreze? That's good." Shit like that. That kind of stuff cracks me up. Conan wearing
Yeah.
Febreze.
Wouldn't surprise me if he did. he is Canadian after all. But one of the really funny parts of this of Mars Attacks, and it actually involves Martin Short. It's when one of the Martians dresses up as a girl, and the funny thing is, the female Martian is actually an actress who's worked on Burton's films before. She actually plays Ichabod Crane's mother in Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
The
okay.
actress's name is Lisa Marie, I think. I'm
Was
pretty sure, but she play, and then once she gets into the White House and she's in Martin Short's character's like bang layer or whatever you want to call it, she bites his finger off and then she just eviscerates, she just zaps him, and he's dead.
Well,
And
she was great. I mean, talk about she might have the best performance in the whole film. I mean, because she nails that robot walk and look and movement, and she was weird. Like even the way that she moved, kind of floating with the arms, and so
Yeah.
what the fuck? I wonder how they did that.
More than likely, they may have worked with her somehow. Maybe had her work with a mime or something like that to help her work on just the weightlessness of the arms or anything. Because I don't think it was CGI. Because here's the thing: the actress Lisa Marie and everything, she is, well, not to put too fine of a point on, she is rather voluptuous. She's got an ample bosom, and she's got a nice derriere, and so a lot of that was her. Not much of it was CGI, as best as I know.
I get that, but the movements were so interesting. Like it just looked robotic. It was really well, choreographed.
Well, like I said, they may have had her work with maybe a mime or anything, or somebody that does mime work or anything, because they would know how to mimic that sort of artificial movement in a way, or maybe have her work with a dance choreographer or something like that to help her train to move her arms and the rest of her body that way. Because you remember how the Martian girl moves. It's very
Weird. Yeah.
It's somewhat alluring, but at the same time, it's a little weird because you realize that chick ain't human.
Yeah.
And she's chewing the gum because it's a purely nitrogen-based gum, because she doesn't have one of the dome helmets over her head like the rest of the Martians does. The thing for me, though, there's a couple of scenes I absolutely love. One is the opening scene where we see the herd of cattle on fire, and they're running past the farm. I'm sorry, that for me is one of the most horrific yet hysterical moments in this whole damn movie. And then when the Martians are carrying around the translator and they keep saying, "Don't run away, we're friends, we're friends, don't run away, we're friends," and there's around zapping people with their disintegration rays, and you've got red and green skeletons lying everywhere, and the part where the Martians capture Pierce Brosnan and Sarah Jessica Parker's characters, and they're experimenting on their ship, and they completely remove Pierce Brosnan's head, and he's just flying around in a jar or something. And they take Sarah Jessica Parker's head and the head of her pet Chihuahua, and they swap the heads. They put her on the Chihuahua's body, and they put the Chihuahua's head on her body.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I kind of want to go look at, after, dude, I've had this movie collection forever. And for the first time in my life, I organized them into genre. Mm-hmm. It took me this long to get there. I'm going to go look at my sci-fi shelf here and see what else I can find.
Yeah, we have all ours done by alphabetized by, alphabet. But good, Zach, I'm so glad you brought up Mars Attacks. It was actually what I was going to talk about, but I'm glad you brought it up regardless. I mean, you want to talk about the definition of a cult classic movie. This Mars Attacks is absolutely a cult classic film, and it is hysterical beyond all reason. I mean, as we talked about, the cast, I mean, Jack Nicholson and Glenn Close as the president and the first lady. And she is so concerned with the appearance of the White House. And she's so concerned with the appearance of her husband and the first family and all of this. And she just, if I remember correctly, one of the Martians shoots a chandelier and it crashes down on Glenn Close. The first lady gets killed by the very thing that she covets most, the White House itself. And then the giant robot that the Martians are running around destroying and smashing everything with. And it's the grandson of Juno and everything, the grandma. It's the same actress who played Juno in Beetlejuice, plays the grandma in this movie. And one of my favorite lines, and people use this meme, when they're saying there, and the Martians come into the congressional chamber, and the Martian leader, the Martian ambassador or something, pulls out a ray gun and starts shooting all the congressmen and all the senators. And the grandmother goes, "They blew up Congress." I won't say too much because I don't want to get the stream taken down, but I imagine there are a few people. I won't say more because I don't want to get the stream taken down. But imagine if that happened in real life. Imagine if that actually happened in real life. But yeah, Mars Attacks. If y'all have never seen this movie, you owe it to yourself to watch it at least once. Watch Mars Attacks at least once. And if you do not laugh your head off, go to your doctor and have your funny bone checked, because there's something very wrong with it. So, I want to say hello to the chat. Ferris of Ferris Geeks World, it is good to see you, buddy. We are doing good. After spending 2 days in the hospital, I am happy to be home. Been home since yesterday evening. And I won't go into all the specifics, Ferris. If you want them, you can rewind a little bit after we're done with the stream. But just be to say, the last 3 weeks have not been fun for yours truly. But that's, like I said, I don't want to rehash it. I don't want to talk about it again. I'm here to talk about cult sci-fi movies of the 80s and 90s. That's what I'm here to talk about tonight. And hopefully whoever wants to join me besides this guy here. So, Zach, what else did you find?
Okay, so I got 2 picks.
Okay.
So we got The Running Man.
Oh. yeah, definitely. That definitely qualifies as sci-fi.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Love the Running Man.
I've also
Mhm.
got Sphere.
Are you reading my mind? That I'm not
So
kidding.
those are
Are
two
you?
good ones.
Damn, son. Are you? I almost considered talking about Sphere tonight. I'm glad you brought that up. I love that damn movie.
I love Sphere too. Yeah.
I do. I love that movie. Another really good cast. I mean, you've got Dustin Hoffman, you got Sam Jackson, you got Sharon Stone, you got Queen Latifah, you got Peter Coyote.
Yep.
Oh, you've got Liv Schreiber. I almost forgot about Liv Schreiber. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that was one of his early roles after the first Scream came out. Damn, I almost forgot about Liv Schreiber. I can't forget about him. Yeah, that is a really interesting premise for a movie. It really, really is, and it's such an interesting premise. So, what is it about Sphere that you love, Zach, or what is it
What?
about Sphere that you enjoy?
It is a movie I picked up back when we used to have DVD shops,
Mm-hmm.
and you look
Yeah.
around. I mean, it's so unique. I mean, they find a giant sunken spaceship, and within the ship is this kind of golden sphere, and it's so weird because
Mm-hmm.
it's almost left a little ambiguous. But
Mm-hmm.
but I forget which character. Somebody enters the sphere. Is it Sam Jackson?
I'm trying to remember who enters it first. I think it is Sam Jackson that enters his character that enters it first, but then everybody else does too. Well, Dustin Hoffman's character and Sharon Stone's character also enter it. I think the only ones who don't um, are Liv Schreiber's character, Peter Cuddy, and Queen Latifah. But all three of them end up buying it. They all end up dying. I
Yeah.
think during the course of the movie.
Well,
So
it's a movie about paranoia. It's I don't know. There's something about it that has always appealed to me. There's something about underwater films. Number one, it's kind of
mhm.
some semi reminiscent of The Abyss. So that's a particular type of film. Underwater sci-fi. You don't get too
Mhm.
many. It's a nice little um, concoction of different cool ideas and stuff where they start sending. It's almost like the plagues where these different things start coming at them. You have the squid and all this other shit. What kills
The
Queen
giant
Latifah's
squid.
jellyfish kill her, right? So different things come
Yeah.
at them,
Mhm.
and you've got the interpersonal drama. I forget, why are they suspicious of each other? It's been a while, but I love this. I've seen it more than
They're
once,
not
but
so much suspicious of each other per se, but they're all suspicious of whether or not they've actually gone to the sphere. Now, there's an interesting wrinkle with this movie, and that's, of course, between Dustin Hoffman and Sharon Stone's characters, because apparently she was a patient of his, and he's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, one of the two. I think it's a psychologist, and he ends up having an affair with her, and she's very resentful. There's actually a line, and she's like, "Gee, is that about the same as like, gee, Beth, I thought you knew I was married." Now, the interesting thing about that is at the end of the movie, he does end up apologizing to her for, I don't want to say taking advantage of her, but because it is a consensual affair, obviously. But he kind of tries to hush it up, push her away, and not so much try to badger her or bully her into silence, but he just kind of ignores her for years on end. And yeah, honestly, Sphere is one of those I never saw in theaters, but we picked it up on VHS. I think it was like at a when I'm trying to remember when me and Mother Master got it, but she still has still has that a copy of Sphere on VHS. And the thing I found interesting is the premise of the team. And when Samuel Jackson's questioning Dustin Hoffman's character, he's like, where did you come up with the idea of a psychologist, a mathematician, an
Yeah. It's like
astrophysicist? He's
the
like,
opening
he's
couple
like,
scenes.
yeah. Well, and the interesting thing about this too is it kind of the sphere is actually based on a book, if I remember correctly, and they kind of break it up into chapters because you have a title card for each section of the movie, which actually was kind of what I thought was actually a novel idea and everything. And I wish more movies or anything, especially those that are based on books or anything, would kind of do it still. But I guess for this movie, it worked best, and it doesn't work for everything. But the thing I like about Sphere is the interplay between these actors and everything. You have Pierre Coyote's character; he's the kind of the military slash. He's a G-man essentially. You don't know what branch of the government that he works for, but you know he works for one of the intelligence agencies. But you're not sure which one of the intelligence agencies that he works for. But he's the very straight-laced government agent guy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Queen Latifah's character. She's one of the crew of the underwater habitat that they go to. Let me ask you, Zach, do you remember the scene where they're making the descent, or they're getting ready to make the descent, they've actually made the descent and they're in the decompression chamber, and they've all got the munchkin voices, the high pitched voices, because they're speaking,
Yes.
because they're breathing helium. You cannot help but laugh when somebody's breathing in helium and their voices are elevated.
Well,
And
it's just
Samuel,
cool. It's
yeah,
just
and
cool.
Samuel Jackson's character goes, "Follow the yellow brick road."
Well, that's what I call natural comedy. I mean, it's not a
Yes.
gag; it's a result of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
And-
like that for me, that's an example of great comedy in a serious movie.
Mm-hmm. But what else? Is there anything? What else about?
Well,
Sphere
it's
that
creepy. Yeah, it's creepy. It's ominous. There's a mystery, and there's something about time travel. I think the people aboard that they find humans aboard the ship in the
Yeah,
bridge.
because, mm-hmm.
So
Well,
it's just a mysterious, interesting movie, and it's kind of reminiscent of Alien, and it's just a great mix. And you're
Mhm.
kind of suspicious of people aboard. You've got great performances. Sam Jackson does a great job. Dustin Hoffman, dude, I think is a great lead actor because we don't see him anymore, but he's got a great voice. He's got a great presence. He's a great fucking actor. So seeing him is just awesome too. So it's partially, if you put the wrong actors in the film, you probably don't have as cool a movie. And I'll probably rewatch it shortly. Just looking through my shit. I've seen it more than once, but it's been probably 10 years, but I remember always really loving it. And I've gone back to it more than once, probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I've watched it, or at least when I was still at home at the time. I love that. I love that movie. It is a great little gem from the late '90s. I think it came out like '97 or '98, somewhere along in there. But it is
You nailed it. You nailed it. I got the case right here, 98.
'98. Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's got that nice balance of a good cast, but also a good, intriguing, and interesting story. Now, to kind of put it more and everything, I don't want to say ruin it, but obviously you've seen it. What they find out is that the ship is it's a Earth-built spaceship from the future that goes out into space and picks up the sphere and then goes through a black hole and ends up crash landing in the past on Earth in the ocean. And what ends up happening is the crew on the ship ends up each of them go into the sphere, and eventually each one of them go crazy and they kill each other due to extreme paranoia.
Here's the other thing that we forgot to
Mhm.
mention. When they go into the sphere, they start acting differently, which was creepy too. Like Sam starts acting weird. That's part of the paranoia of the movie, is the
Yeah.
personalities start to change, and it's a creep. That's the creep factor there. And plus, dude, you've got monsters and shit and all these different apocalyptic. It's got like a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea thing going on too, with the squid and the jelly. It's just a cool movie, dude, and it's unique. It, like, other than The Abyss, I can't think of anything else to compare it to.
In a lot of ways, you're right, because they both have that otherworldly, ethereal feel to them because it takes place in the depths of the ocean. And we know so little about the depths of the ocean, even now in 2023. We have no idea what is still down there, what possibly could be down there, or anything of the sort. And here's the funny thing: if that company that was laying that fiber optic cable in the depths of the ocean had not been laying that cable, they would have never discovered that fin that cut their cable clean as shears, and we would have never had our cast of characters go down to the ship.
I got to rewatch it. I really do.
It's honestly, it's a great film, absolutely great film, great based on a well written book. And to everybody in the chat, whether you catching this live or you catch this on the replay, any of these movies that me and Zach or whoever else pops in tonight, if you have not checked them out, the Black Hole, Mars Attacks, or Sphere, or if you've not seen Running Man, which we'll probably cover here in just a second, go check these movies out. This is why I do these streams. This is why I do these Ambassadorial Cinema streams, because while I love sometimes just drilling down into one movie, I also love talking about, taking time and just
a genre or a group of films.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
It's cool. It builds a conversation out where it's like there's something beautiful about the old school films, and you and I both share that love for these films. I mean, again, I miss movies where you just have a great one-off, entertaining, awesome movie, and you just where you don't have to watch 3 of them or watch a TV show, and they're well done. And dude, back then you had some really killer actors. It's even the actors were in a different world now, like Hoffman and Sam Jackson in their prime. You can't get much better than that.
No, you can't. Now, I do want to address the chat because Ferris has tossed some good comments out, and so has Price is Right. If Price is Right is still here, he brings up Blade Runner, which is one that you and me talked about I think it was back last year. Yeah, I would definitely consider both Blade Runner and its follow-up, Blade Runner 2049, both within that realm of great cult classic film, both by two very gifted actors or directors that we both love. And Price, I'm right there with you. I want my damn hover car. I want my damn hover car, and I want it now. But I do want to address this one question, and then we'll kind of move on. There's actually a couple here that Ferris brings up. Let me get to this first one. What do you guys think of the remake of Lost in Space from 1998?
I've not seen it.
Ferris, I don't know how you necessarily feel about 1998, or about Lost in Space from 1998. I watched it once.
That's not a good sign.
I watched it once, and I have not watched it since. The casting is wrong. I mean, the only good casting, I would say, at least in my opinion, that's even marginally good, but not even that one casting choice is not enough to watch this movie, is Gary Oldman.
Yeah, Gary's awesome.
Yeah, Gary Oldman is awesome, but even he couldn't save this movie. And
that's how you know it's bad. I mean, Gary Oldman can save a piece of shit movie very easily.
Well, as I said, you've got Liam Hurt. This is a movie several years before he passed. You've got Matt LeBlanc. Why?
Oh, that's your problem right there, dude.
From
William
Joey from
Hurt. William Hurt is
Joey
awesome.
from Friends. Joey
William
from
Hurt.
Friends. Joey
Yeah,
from Friends. No. Just no.
there's
Just
your
an
problem right there.
Yeah. Matthew LeBlanc from Friends. No.
You know who I actually like from Friends? Matthew Perry, I think, is a pretty good actor.
Okay. Small.
Oh
small.
shit. I got a small detour too. Go ahead. Just reminded me.
We might be going. We might be going in the same detour.
Okay.
The whole 9 yards.
Yes, dude, we're on the same page on this one.
Bruce Willis, Amanda Peet, Ving. Was it Ving Rhames or Michael? No, it was Michael Clark Duncan.
Yards.
It was Michael Clark Duncan.
You know, it was a piece of shit. The whole 10 yards was a waste of time. But
the first one's perfect. It didn't need a sequel. Did not need a sequel. Why did? And Natasha Henstridge.
Kevin Pollak.
Yeah, Kevin Pollak. Yeah, this was I think like Natasha Henstridge's third or fourth film. It was actually one of the first times she actually kept her clothes on because, well, perfect segue. Okay, I want Ferris. We'll get you the comments in a minute. Perfect segue. Species with Natasha Henstridge. Do you remember it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. You've got for heaven's sakes. You got Natasha Henstridge, you've got for heaven's sakes, what's her name?
Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley.
Forrest Whitaker,
Michael Madsen.
Ben Kingsley, Michael Madsen. Damn it. It was the one blonde-headed woman who was on the early seasons of was it NCIS? No, it wasn't NCIS. It was one of the others. It was the one with David Caruso. Damn it!
I don't watch procedural shit. I just don't.
No, and that's fine. I'm just trying to think of the name of the damn blonde-headed actress. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she was on one of those CSI. She was on CSI, but she was blonde-headed. Okay. I can't think of the actress's name. Huh? No, wasn't Mary. I can't think of her damn name. I'm blanking here. I'll just look it up.
That always works.
I'll just look it up. It's easier. It's okay. Cast of...
No, that was a badass movie, dude. Is that a 90? I thought that was later than 80s. What
it was in the 90s.
Okay. So what is it? 70s, 80s, and 90s? Is that this one?
I'm doing like the only one from the 70s I've done so far is a Black Hole.
I've never seen that.
I don't know how you would necessarily feel about it. I'm not saying that as necessarily a bad thing. Mark Helgenberger. Huh? Yeah, you were close. So, and Alfred Molina.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, he's great in this movie. He is. But yeah, Species.
I got another side note for you, similar to Species, kind of. Slither. Have you seen Slither?
Yes. But you realize who wrote and directed? You realize who wrote and directed Slither, right? No.
But I love that actor, dude. I met that guy. What's his name? No, from Slither.
Michael Rooker.
Yeah, I met him.
Rooker
I totally met him.
Cool. You're gonna kick yourself a little bit because you like this movie, but you don't care for the writer / director who did it.
Okay.
James Gunn.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. No, it was good. That was a good movie, dude. Michael Rooker plays a creepy weirdo better than anybody, you know.
Yes, he does. You know,
Well,
okay.
dude,
I want to make sure I got
he,
this
he gets
right.
see, this is perfect. See, this is like the stream of side roads, right? So Michael Rooker, dude, got his start on The Walking Dead as like a mainstream guy, and he played one of the creepiest, most evil guys ever in that show.
Yeah. Daryl's brother.
But
Yep.
that dude's been
James
around
Gunn
forever.
is. Yeah,
Mississippi
he
Burning.
has.
Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. But yeah,
Okay,
James
that's
Gunn was
Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, Michael Rooker.
Okay. Oh, speaking of Gene Hackman, I actually watched a movie last night that I don't know if you've ever seen. We'll get back on the topic here in a few minutes, guys. But this is getting fun. Young Frankenstein.
It's been forever, but it's great.
Gene Hackman has a cameo appearance. He has one scene in Young Frankenstein. I almost don't want to tell you who he is, so you can figure it out.
Dude, I've seen it. I picture him in my mind. They made him look differently and stuff, but what's this? I'm picturing a scene from Young Frankenstein. Oh yeah. So that when he gives him the brain, where did you get this brain from? Abby Normal.
That's not it. That's not it, though. That's not the scene with Gene Hackman.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's my favorite scene.
Oh,
abnormal.
Yeah. Abby.
He goes, abnormal.
Abby, someone. You mean to tell me that I actually did a review of Young Frankenstein about a year and a half ago. Do you mean to tell me I put an abnormal brain into a 10-foot tall, 210 some odd pound gorilla?
Dude, Gene Wilder, I think, might have the greatest voice of anybody. Abnormal. He's got the coolest voice, dude. Just a great voice.
You know, here's the thing. Gene Wilder actually wrote the script and the story for Young Frankenstein. It was his original idea. Yeah.
He was such a talented guy.
He was. Absolutely was. Do you own a copy of Young Frankenstein?
You know, this is really embarrassing, but I can tell you the story. So I was at a pawn shop and I tried to cut in line because you had people trying to no, I went to a pawn shop and I found Young Frankenstein, a couple other things, and I was like, damn, Young Frankenstein, I'm so glad I finally found this for like $1. And it was perfect, no scratches. I tried to cut because you had people trying to do the pawns and shit, and somebody yelled at me and they threw me out the store.
Zach. So you do not. Oh my gosh, Zach.
No, but I had it. I had it in my hand. I found it.
You can probably find it on Amazon cheap. Actually, you know what? I'll do you a solid. I will do you a solid. I'm gonna get on my Amazon. I'm not gonna buy you one because, well, right now I can't. But I'm gonna get on Amazon and let's see, Amazon.com. Okay.
I'll tell. Well, look. My dad is
this is one that you are not. This is one that you're not gonna sail the high seas for.
Well, no, he can burn me a disc.
Either way,
for free.
Young. Either way,
he's got my father, dude, might have a collection that rivals both of ours. Dude, I think my father has like 1,000 films.
Oh my gosh, Zach, you're not gonna believe this. Okay, they don't. Yeah. Young Frankenstein on Blu-ray for $9.32.
It's a little overpriced. I like getting shit for like dirt cheap. I
no,
bought most of my.
That is not overpriced for a absolutely. Dude, this is one of Mel Brooks's and Gene Wilder's best movies ever.
Well, I most of my collection, dude, I even left the dollar stickers on them because I'm proud of it. Most of
And
my
that's
shit I got for
cool.
dirt cheap. I got the movie Metropolis, that with that old school kind of
Oh yeah, the old black and white one with the robot. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Ooh, now you want to talk
that
about a cult
that shit's
classic?
rare.
Wow,
That
that's an
shit's
oldie.
it's rare as fuck, and I got it for like $3.
Mm-hmm.
But here was my
Ooh,
prize jewel.
good.
The prize jewel in my collection I actually sold for $100. I had got at a church sale the original
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars unedited original VHS tapes, and I sold them for $100. But I got them. I bought them for like $1 a piece.
Why did you sell them? Why? Do you realize how much those are worth now, even though it's VHS?
I think it's worth about what I got it sold them for. Right?
Zach, killing me.
But I made like 1,000% profit. I paid $1.
Still, Zach, that's a piece of cinema history there, especially the first Star Wars.
I know, but
Ugh.
it was an
Hurt
easy
your-
profit.
I'm sorry, there are some movies that I will never sell. I will, unless I am absolutely at the end of my rope and I have no other alternative. There are some movies I will never ever sell in my. Even my. I don't know if I've told you this, and folks, we will get back to the topic. Trust me.
Running Man
But
up
this
next.
this is somewhat pertinent. I still have, when they did not the special edition, but when they did the remasters in the mid 90s, in like 94 or 95, they did the remasters of the original versions of the original trilogy. They sold me a box set. We bought 2. Other master has the one that's still open. Has the one that's open. I have the one that's been sealed.
Mm.
Has never been opened. The chip is still intact. I don't know how much they'd be worth, but to me, that's a piece of history. That's
I could have
like,
sold. It's too bad. I could have sold them to you. That would have been preferable. Would have you paid
yeah,
100?
You didn't know me at the time.
Would have you paid 100
Hey,
for the non-edited?
because you're you're my friend, I will probably pay you a little bit more.
No, I wouldn't charge you more.
No, because you're my because you're my friend, I would have given you more money anyway. I would have snuck it in somehow. But okay, back. Okay, we went from Lost in Space to Young Frankenstein all the way around to Star Wars.
That was a wild road, but it was
fun. A fun one.
Let's just point these out, guys. Add these to your list: Slither, Species, and what other ones did we bring up?
Well, we didn't.
We brought those 2 up for the whole 9 yards. Add that one.
Yeah, that's a good one, even though it's not sci-fi. But yeah, that is a good one. Well, no, here's the thing. Okay. I can actually I have this weird semi-talent where I can connect movies to other movies. So you've got Lost in Space with Gary Oldman, and you have The Whole 9 Yards with Bruce Willis. What's one movie they both appear in that is a sci-fi movie? Now, granted, it's my all-time favorite. All-time favorite Huh?
Die Hard 2, right?
No.
They're both in that for sure.
But
Gary
it's not
Oldman
a sci-fi
plays...
movie. Zach,
okay.
it's not a sci-fi movie.
But there's another one they appeared in. Die Hard 2. Gary Oldman plays Hans Gruber's brother. Doesn't he? Am I crazy?
Yes, you are, because that was Jeremy Irons in Iron Man and Die Hard 3.
Oh, okay. What weird. Gary Oldman, he's played a lot of Russians and Germans. Come on.
That's true.
Not a hard
true.
mistake.
But
you know what came to my mind was fucking Gary from Air Force One.
Yeah, with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay. All right. Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, this is in my top. Okay, just specifically sci-fi movies, and we may actually do my top 10, or at least my top. Actually, we'll either do my top 10 or top 5 sci-fi movies of all time. Because my very first one of these Ambassadorial Cinema streams, I did my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Oh,
This would be
shit.
my top 10. This would be my top 10 favorite movies of sci-fi movies of all time. This is the number one. Yes, the number one all-time favorite sci-fi movie of The Ambassador. It is a movie I have discussed. It's a movie I am going to eventually, if I haven't already. No, I actually did. I did a watch party for this back, I think, last year for my in September for my birthday.
And it has Gary Oldman and Bruce Willis. Oh,
Yes,
I've got it. Oh, I'm retarded.
Don't you dare!
I got it.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! No,
I got it.
no.
Go ahead.
You're
I
not
got
gonna
it.
steal. You're not gonna steal my moment.
The Fifth Element.
Yeah, I did that. I'm surprised it took me that. It took me literally that long to figure it out. But you know why? You're really gonna be disappointed in me. I cannot stand it. I don't like it.
You just lost all credibility.
Yeah, I'm
You
not a
just
fan.
lost all credibility.
Well, you
How
know what
can
it
you
is.
not like The Fifth Element?
Well, you know what it is it's Gary Oldman's performance. I can't stand. I hate it. I hate the look, the voice. I hated Gary in that, and I love Gary, but I hated him in Fifth Element, and I also cannot stand. Who's the black guy, the entertainer guy? Hated that character. Just so annoying. You know who I'm talking? Is it Prince? Who's doing that part? I can't even remember.
I don't even think I know you anymore.
No, I hated the Fifth
You
Element. I mean, look, the chick
That
was
is
hot.
one of the great.
Mila Jovovich. Is
Yeah,
that it?
as Lilu.
She's a savage.
She's
I like
a
her.
badass.
Yeah, but I just hated a lot of the elements in the movie.
Okay,
Like her
okay, all right,
thing.
all right.
Well,
I will give you.
Let me throw this.
I will.
I'll give it a compliment. I thought her being a weird kind of there was something up. Was she a clone or she was something weird?
She's actually the Fifth Element.
Okay,
She's
but
love.
she was something weird, and it was interesting what they did with her. Right, I remember there was something with her that But
Yeah, I'm telling you exactly what she was. One of the survivors of the Mondoshawan craft that the Mangalores attacked and shot down. They brought the hand in of one of the Mondashawans and they clone her from that hand. It is an absolutely badass scene and everything. The
so I was right.
CGI
So why'd you say I was wrong? I said she was a clone. There you go. So I remember the film. It just is. Here's what it is. Honestly, this is what it is. It's too hammy for me, and I like some of the stuff in it, but it's too hammed up where it doesn't quite match up. I mean, you got like great action and great stuff, but you could have fixed it. I think I would have liked it. Let me throw this out there. Let's take Leon the Professional style Gary and put him in that movie, and let's replace the black guy with Stanley Tucci from Hunger Games, and then I would probably be more intrigued by it. But those are two of my major problems with it. The hamminess. Gary is not an intimidating bad guy, and with something like that,
he's not necessarily meant to be. I mean, he is, but at the same time, he isn't. I mean, think about
his name. Embarrassing. He's just embarrassing.
Now, I will say this. I can understand your critique in terms of Chris Rock as Ruby Rod.
It was Chris Rock?
Yeah, it was Chris Rock as Ruby Rod.
What?
I can understand because his performance
horrible.
at times is very grating, as is his voice. I'll give you that.
Dude, he was horrible.
I will absolutely give you that. But for me, still, There's something about Ruby Rod that makes me laugh.
directed it? Who directed it?
Luc
Do you know?
Luc Besson.
What else has he done?
Leon the Professional.
Oh, okay. That's a great movie. You know, I mentioned it.
He also did a movie back just a few years ago. It was also a sci-fi film, but unfortunately, it didn't click. It was called Valerian, the ship of
I've
a
seen
thousand
that.
worlds.
Yeah.
I'm still.
I got to go back and watch it again.
I feel bad for Luc Besson. I've never seen it, but I really want to. I really want to.
You should. But I'll throw this out about it. I remember not liking it, but I remember kind of being intrigued, fascinated, and here's a very complimentary word, inspired by some of the different elements in it. So you had some interesting stuff, but it just was put together very badly. It was just too much of a
right.
Well, not even that. It was just a clusterfuck because that was based on either a book or a comic book or something, and it was just too much material. And
it's based on a French-based graphic novel, I believe. And I think it's done by a French artist or a French comic book artist and comic book line, I believe.
I think
so.
And it was like it was a famous comic too. Like people were waiting for years.
Yeah, a lot of people were. There was a pretty decent fan base for Valerian, but unfortunately, it just. And I love Luc Besson because two of my favorite movies, one of my all-time favorite movies, were done by him. I mean, Fifth Element. But I do want to come back to the chat for just a second. Then we can turn on to Arnold as the Running Man. But I want to bring up Ferris's comment. Here real quick. I used to get mixed up between Sphere and Event Horizon until I found out that both movies came out just a year apart. Event Horizon in 98, Sphere, or Event Horizon in 97, Sphere in 98. Event Horizon. Have you ever seen it or have you ever heard of it, Zach?
Yeah. I've seen it. That's another one we could talk about briefly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, okay. Here's the interesting thing about me. I am very hard to spook and very, very hard to scare. You can ask Madam Ambassador and, well, whenever she's on next. You could ask Mother Ambassador, but she does not do internet like at all. I mean, she's in her late 70s. She's just like, nope, I'm off the technological bandwagon. I've got my flip phone. I'm good.
Perfect.
But I am you're
so lucky. You're so lucky. Everybody's mother calls them asking, hey, how do I work my apps? You're a lucky guy.
The first couple of times I ever watched Event Horizon, it creeped. Okay, it didn't scare me, but it creeped the ever-living hell out of me, and I'll tell you specifically why. It is the scene where they finally uncover the records of the ship, and it's all video. And you see this absolutely horrific stuff of people being torn to pieces. The hull of the ship is splattered in blood, and one of the crew members has ripped his own eyes out, is holding them in his hands, is smiling, and he's talking in Latin. And it's creepy as hell. Yeah. Well, absolutely creepy as hell.
It's like Hellraiser in space. You know, you take Hellraiser, you mix it with Alien, you've got Event Horizon. But you've got a great cast though. You've got Larry Fishburne,
Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill.
Jason Isaacs, very good actor.
I forgot about Jason Isaacs. Yeah, Jason Isaacs is in this too.
That dude's awesome.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of the rest of the cast, honestly.
That's who comes to mind, you know. Jason Isaacs is one of my favorite actors. Another underrated guy, man. Jason Isaacs, I'd be hired. Dude, Thrawn. I'd have hired that motherfucker for Thrawn.
You know what? He wouldn't be a bad choice. Okay, yeah. You got Sam Neill, you got Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Isaacs, Jolie Richards, Kathleen Quinlan, Jack Noseworthy, Richard T. Jones, Sam Pertwee. Let's see
Nobody.
who else.
I don't know any of them. So we got the top three. It sounds like I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
Do you know any of those people?
Yeah, the rest of them. I'm looking at the cast right here, and honestly, no. Except for maybe Kathleen Quinlan. No, not really.
Well, it's not a bad thing necessarily, but you got three strong leads, who do a great job. Sam Neill, another underrated guy. I'd pay to see that guy in anything. He's a great fucking actor. Another underrated guy, man. It's like, how did that guy not get more work off of Jurassic Park?
Definitely.
It's insane. How did nobody hire him after that? What the fuck happened?
Actually, I don't know.
He was awesome.
I honestly don't know.
He's awesome
as Dr. Grant.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Another brief deviation.
Event Horizon, though. Let me throw one more thing out. I love the design of the design of the ship, the claustrophobia of the movie. I really liked it. If you ever do a review, I'll be on for that.
I might do a watch along. Maybe we'll see. Anything. I've got some new tools on how I can do watch alongs. I gotta make the time. The thing I found interesting about Event Horizon was the explanation for how you actually do faster than light travel. And if I remember correctly, it's Jason Isaacs' character that explains it. And because they're saying in the ship, the rescue ship, the Lewis and Clark, and he's like, we've all been told the shortest distance 2 points is a straight line. That's not true. He holds up a page of I think it's like a nudie girl calendar or something, and he pokes a hole in it, and he's like, it's when you create two holes in the same space. And they show the this very creepy looking device in the heart of the ship, the Event Horizon. And what it ends up doing is it creates a portal to hell. That's where the whole aspect of Hellraiser comes in. You'd almost expect Pinhead and the other Cenobites to pop out of that damn thing. We have such horrors to show you.
Oh,
I can't do that voice. I can't.
No, nobody can.
The original actor can do that voice.
Doug Bradley.
Yeah, Doug Bradley. Yeah, I remember seeing the first 3 Hellraisers, but after that,
I didn't get it. I just did not get it. And you would think it would be something for me, but the storyline was so bizarre. I didn't understand it. Well, because you got the guy, he's living in the floor, or his heart is in the floor, or some weird shit. It just did not make sense to me at all. Like, it was so confusing. The first one?
Yeah. You have to remember the first one's really low budget. It was a story. It was kind of a world that was created by Clive Barker, who does a lot of really macabre and very supernatural type of storylines and stories and so on. I like some of his stuff, but at the same time, his stuff kind of disturbs me or bothers me. Not in like an extreme way or anything, but I'm like, this just doesn't feel like something I really want to delve really deeply into, because it's just a little too out there for my taste.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you there. Yeah.
But
we can say though, Hellraiser, a precursor to Event Horizon, no doubt there's some inspiration.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
There's some of the most creepy imagery. Like, I think, don't all of them end up with their eyes ripped out and like shit around their face? And it's just a creepy fucking. Even Sam Neill gets fucked up at the end. It's like
the movie ends on a possible more horrific ending, because they think that they got out, they think that they escaped, but then one of the crew members or one of the rescue teams that comes to rescue the crew of the Lewis and Clark opens up his face mask, and it's actually Sam Neill, and the woman the woman crew member played by Jolie Richardson. She starts screaming her head off, and they're like, "It's okay, we made it out, we're safe." And then the door just shuts, and you're thinking, "Did they actually get out? Or are they still stuck in hell?"
Yeah, it's creepy. It's a mindfuck type movie, you know.
Yeah, it kind of is. It really kind of is. But one that most definitely is.
I got to throw one last thing out at you. Have you seen a movie? Have you seen a movie called The Fountain?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God,
with Hugh Jackman.
Wow.
And I think it's Rachel Weisz.
Is that 90s? Is that 90s? Can we throw it in? We can't break the rules too much. We are.
Let's see. Let me look at it.
But that
let me look it up, because here's the thing, because I bent the rules a little bit for. Just hold on. Just hold on.
Well, I want to say who directed it.
Because
Go ahead, man.
Okay. I will. Yep, I was right. Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz. I will bend the rules because I bent the rules for Black Hole because it came out in '79. I will bend the rules for this, although it's not classified as a sci-fi. It's classified as a romance/drama. But you know what?
It ain't no fucking romance drama. That's a
tell Google that. Tell Google that. Directed by Darren Aronofsky, who also
awesome
directed.
Director.
This is the only movie of his I actually really like. The only other one that I've ever seen all the way through, I've only seen like once, and I could never watch it again. You probably know what movie I'm talking about.
I do. Requiem.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream.
Dude,
I can't.
That movie is a fucking masterpiece. Requiem for a Dream is a fucking masterpiece of cinema.
It is, but it's a hard watch, and I cannot bring myself to watch it. I can't. But yeah,
I remember showing
Fountain,
some,
and then we'll do.
I remember showing some friends. Yeah, we'll do The Fountain real quick. We're taking too many side roads here. I'll let you steer the ship after this. Requiem for a Dream, dude. I showed my friends in high school that movie, and they were so disinterested. I had a few friends. We were watching that, and there was a moment where everybody became quiet, and I'm like, I got him. Dude, that movie is just the soundtrack, the way it unfolds. It's really a classic, in my opinion, one of the greatest films ever. And Darren Aronofsky never lived up to the hype of that again. But I still think he's good. I saw his latest film, The Whale. I thought it was kind of okay, but he's been around forever.
The one with Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
The wrestler, dude. The wrestler, Mickey Rourke. Mm-hmm. That's badass too. Your guy here, Daniel Martin. That's a badass movie too.
I've known Daniel. He's one of many of the good ones. Everything Pop said and everything. But yeah, The Fountain. I went out on a limb for this one because it was Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz. Yeah, I really did because when I heard Requiem for a Dream, I was like, oh, do I really want to take another chance? Because that one was such a.
No, it's depressing. But wait, you can't deny it's a masterpiece. Ellen Burstyn, dude, I'm
by no means. I'm by no means saying that it isn't a good movie. It is a good movie, but it is a very hard movie to watch. It's kind of like, Schindler's List. It's one of those movies you can only watch. It's a hard watch. It literally almost sucks the life out of you.
Oh, I love it.
But The Fountain,
dude, I love that movie.
But The Fountain, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. But if this starts going the same direction of Requiem, I'm like, I'm switching the sucker off. I'm not finishing it. but I was very pleasantly surprised, and I really enjoyed the journey that this movie goes on, and it's a very surreal and everything, and it does have a sci-fi slash fantasy-esque, at least from my interpretation of it, element to it, but it's almost like a time travel movie, but at the same time it isn't, because what Hugh Jackman's character is doing, he's a doctor, I believe, and he's trying to find a cure for his wife, and Rachel Weisz plays his wife in this movie. And it starts out very dark, but as he progresses through time, he the it starts to get brighter in terms of the lighting and the aesthetic of the film and the periods that he's passing through. And Jackman's performance in The Fountain, it's one of his very best. I mean, aside from maybe his performances as Wolverine or anything, at least in some of the better movies that he's in, he plays Wolverine in.
Oh, well, Hugh Jackman, dude. See, here's another element of it. You mentioned Hugh Jackman as having a great performance. People don't understand what Hugh Jackman is as an actor. They just don't get it. They don't get it. The producers don't get it. The public doesn't get it. Hugh Jackman is a top tier, one of the greatest actors of all time, currently and of all time. Yeah. He is so fucking powerful. I'd agree. Every time you put him in a movie, he's so fucking powerful. The Prestige, he fucking kills it.
Oh yeah.
You look at everything Hugh Jackman has done. Prisoners, a movie you must watch. He destroys.
I am.
Dude, I would have gave him an Oscar for Prisoners. Hugh Jackman is so fucking good. But I will say this about The Fountain is, dude, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I was thoroughly entertained by it, but it's like, what the fuck's going on, dude? There's like tribal shit and a dude with a flaming sword. It's very weird. You almost have to read into it to figure it out. And you've got the thing with
it's a movie that's very steeped in symbolism. That's the way I would kind of put it. It's a movie that deserves multiple viewings. I almost want to get a copy of it now.
I got a copy. You know what? I'd give mine up for you.
I'll get my own copy because I can find it cheap.
Well, dude, do you know what the film is about? Because I'm still confused by it, and I've seen it more than once.
It's kind of like how I described it. Hugh Jackman plays a doctor or a scientist or something along those lines. Rachel Weisz is his wife, and essentially she has this very weird or very rare disease that's killing her. And essentially what he's doing is he's trying to find a cure for her illness.
I know, but I get that. But is it too highbrow though? Is it too weird? There's elements within the film that I just don't understand, man. And it's like open to interpretation, I guess.
Like, in a manner speaking, yeah.
Like some of this stuff represents some of his internal struggle, or like that's kind of how you have to read into it. But it's a unique, interesting film. You've got the weird tree of life thing. It's like, just interesting concepts, interesting imagery. It's very unique.
I would almost put it in the same vein of another movie you and I discussed a few months ago, and that was, of course, 2001. If you are
this is way more complex, I think.
Well, yeah, and I would agree with you, but at the same time, 2001 is very much a movie that is very also steeped in symbolism.
But at least there's a through line with that. Like, this movie is broken up into pieces, and it's like, where the fuck do we begin? Like, if I were to do for my main channel or something, do like a video essay, dude, I think it would take me like 2 weeks to put together a script because I don't know where to start with it. However, I'm intrigued by it. And actually, a buddy of mine recommended I watch it. So I'm like, all right, a few years ago. But I've been kind of turned around and confused by it ever since. Like, once in a while, I'll think about, like, what the fuck was going on there? you know.
It almost seems like a cheat to say this, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, because I think this is a movie that does deserve to be watched multiple times so that you can draw your own. Perhaps you're meant to draw your own conclusions, or perhaps it's meant to kind of be a jigsaw puzzle of a movie that you have to piece together. You have to find the border, and then you have to put the border together, and then you have to put the main image together, and eventually you'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, like
But
we could pull.
you probably. Mhm.
Go ahead, man. So, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's all right, Zach. The thing I'll say, and then you say your piece. You could probably find some videos or maybe a channel that's dedicated to obscure movies like this, like The Fountain, that could probably give you a breakdown of what exactly the movie means, what particular parts of it that are more confusing means, or they give their own interpretation of what Aronofsky is trying to say in the movie, and that probably give you your hints right there. But here's the thing. That's somebody else's answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just my own a personal belief of my own. There are movies out there like The Fountain, like 2001, and so on, and I could probably list a few others and everything, but not really the point tonight and everything. But it's something we could discuss at another time.
I'm sure we could.
There are movies that I think deserve multiple watchings or multiple viewings so that you can start to break down and dissect. I mean, there's a reason why there's the pause button, or there's a reason why there's the stop button. It isn't just so you can stop the movie or so you can pause so you can go use the bathroom. I think some movies are meant to be broken down and not necessarily dissected, but explored. Because
yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, because some of the movies we talked. No, you're fine. You're fine. Some of the movies we talked about, they're very surface level. You don't have to go real deep, and that's the joy of them. But there are other movies like the one and everything you brought up, The Fountain. That's an exploration. That's a journey. That's an odyssey of a film.
That's very well put. I mean, it's a film that's well made. So any of your viewers, you will see really dynamic imagery. It's got a great budget. It's got great production value, but it's just a confusing film. And I mean, we could draw certain conclusions. Like I could bring forward some ideas about it, but I don't think it contributes to the conversation. Really, it's really a maze of a film, I think. And by the way, I think too much so. Like you mentioned 2001, at least with that, we have a through line with the people on the ship. We understand there's a plot. Like this movie, there's no plot. You have like I guess your through line is him and his wife. But it just there's too many layers to it, and it just is fucking bizarre. But it's good. I would say, even with all that being said, it's not a bad movie.
No. Now, to segue back over a little bit into, I want to bring up Ferris's comment here. I know I think he had to leave a little while ago, but that's okay, because this is related to what we were discussing, Young Frankenstein, which, if you want to think about it, the original novel by Mary Wollstonecraft, Frankenstein, or Shelley, her novel Frankenstein from like the early or the mid 1800s, is considered by a lot of people the earliest science fiction novel. And it does deal with a very science fiction-y concept. Is man, well, okay, science fiction / philosophy / maybe just a smidgen of religion. Frankenstein. And Ferris brought up Mary Shelley's version of Frankenstein from 1994, starring an actor we both like, Robert De Niro, as the creature. I don't remember exactly who plays Victor Frankenstein in this, but De Niro plays the creature. And honestly, I think I've only seen clips of that particular version of Frankenstein. I mean, the one I've always watched is, of course, the one with Boris Karloff, and of course, the follow up, The Bride of Frankenstein, and then, of course, well, Young Frankenstein. I've seen clips of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994, and it is an interesting take. It is a more faithful adaptation of the original novel. The creature in this version, played by De Niro, is much more in keeping with the version that Shelley had originally conceived in her novel. And the real standout is, of course, De Niro, anything as the creature. So, just out of curiosity, Zach, have you ever seen this particular version?
You know, I've seen, like you. I think you said you hadn't seen the entire thing, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of little snips and pieces of it. It might even just be pictures. I can picture Robert De Niro as Frankenstein, but I don't know. Those old movies, I think, should really stay dead. I don't have a lot of interest in stuff like The Mummy or Dracula or Frankenstein or any of that.
And that's fair. And that's fair. I can't say necessarily
I
disagree with
respect it.
that.
I do respect it.
Um,
Like I like the
well,
old Vincent Price,
well,
the horror films and stuff. I like old vintage horror, but
mhm.
those ones for me, like Frankenstein, has just been done too many times where it's like, oh God. If it had been one
Yeah.
movie,
Well,
maybe I would go and look at it,
Well, I'm going to bring up the cast because this is the cast I know I definitely have a lot of respect for, and I think you will as well. So I don't consider this necessarily a departure from the topic because this is science fiction. This is just, and it's 1994. I know some people categorize Frankenstein as a horror film. Not a horror film. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's novel, would be, I think, considered by a lot of people one of the earliest science fiction
It's a bad
stories
title.
ever written.
That's not a good title, though. Mary Shelley's
What?
Frankenstein.
What? Well, that's
Is that the
that's
title?
the title for the film, not so much of the novel.
Yeah,
Of
no,
the
I know.
movie?
But
Yes.
what a terrible title.
Well, they're trying to differentiate between the original Universal Frankenstein and some of the other adaptations that have been done. But look at this cast. You've got Kenneth Branagh as Victor Frankenstein. You, of course, have Robert De Niro as the creature. You have Helena Bonham Carter as Elizabeth. You have Tom Hulce as Dr. Henry Saraville. You've got Ian Holm as Baron Alphonse. I believe it's Frankenstein. You've got Quinn. You've got John Cleese. John Cleese, right there. That's if that doesn't give you a chuckle, I don't know what will. Let's see, who else have we got here?
Hugh Bonneville. That's a guy who's become famous lately. What's Downton
Hugh
Abbey?
Bonneville. I'm not seeing.
Scroll up. He's up there.
Okay.
But he probably had kind of a minor part, I guess.
Oh, Hugh Bonneville. Yeah. Yeah, he plays a character named Schiller. Let's see, who else we got here. Pretty impressive cast. I'm wondering who. Oh, Kenneth Branagh directed it.
Nice. Well, just some of your top people.
It's down here on. It's
some of your top people.
Well, Tom
enough.
Hulce, one of his best. Tom Hulce, one of his most well-known parts. Amadeus. I love that movie. I have no idea how much I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did a review of it back. I think it was last year. Yeah, playing with Mozart. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's in my top 20, easy.
Nice.
But yeah, this is one I've got to watch now because it's got too good of a cast, and not to mention too good of a director to not see it. Because Kenneth Branagh, great director, great actor, a real.
I'm I'm
a
just
real
sick of the
act.
Frankenstein. Yeah, we've just been there, done that too many times.
Well,
It's like the
well,
old
here,
Hammer
you know,
horror franchises to me represent what the superhero genre will become
mhm,
eventually. Where eventually you're going to have those films be kind of like old school classic
yeah.
films, where they're not really doing it as much anymore, which is kind of my hope. You know, I like a lot of the stuff, but it's just gotten to be too much.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean,
You
how
know,
many
here's the
films do we
thing
need?
with
You know what I mean? It's like we got like 30 MCU films. They're going down in quality every time. These TV shows have been mediocre at best. It's like, how long are we doing this shit
yeah.
for?
Well, if the strike keeps going, who knows? And that's, you know, I don't want to get off on a big thing here. I don't want to get off on a big tangent, but I'm going to say this. Do I think these writers okay? I think there needs to be a caveat in these whatever new contract is drawn up, if there isn't ever a new contract drawn up. These writers need to start doing a better job, and these studios need to give these writers more. Okay, when I say more, I mean to a degree, they need to give them more freedom, but still have certain restraints in place. But they need to demand better quality stories, writing, and character development from these writers, because too few of them have really gone down the crapper, and there are just a handful who are actually doing good stuff. As for the actors, they here's the thing. This is an interesting dynamic, and I think this is something, Zach, you and I will both agree on. An actor or actress can only go so far with their ability with the script that they are given.
Yeah,
If they're
totally.
given a if they are given a crap script by a crap writer, they can only do so much with that script. Now, at the same time, I don't agree with this idea of the studios trying to take these actors and actresses' likenesses, downloading them into a computer, and then digitizing them and using them for films and for TV shows or streaming series or wherever the case. I don't like that. That's robbing these actors and actresses of their livelihood. I don't like that.
Well, it depends.
I
I
don't.
mean, honestly, for me, it depends. I mean, if you have a guy who plays a waiter and he expects to get
Mm,
$20,000 a year, I mean, what are we talking about? It depends. I mean, honestly, it depends.
yeah,
Primary actors, so primary cast, secondary cast, supporting cast,
yeah,
yeah. But you know, you have people who are featured extras who are trying to collect checks. It's like, so it's very complicated. I mean, you want people to be
yeah,
taken care of, but at the same time, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not getting paid for shit I did 10 years ago, and neither is anyone. It's like, you know,
yeah,
these actors, if they face the real world, you get paid one time. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you can sit and float off your appearances on Cheers and you know,
Whatever. Yeah,
Family Matters,
but
and live on that and pay your rent. But look, I mean, it's not helping actors. I can tell you that in terms of what they're doing. It's like you can sit there and
yeah,
collect a residual check, and not do anything interesting now. It's not
yeah,
really
pretty
helping
much.
your career. But I'm with you in terms. Yeah, you got to pay them, but it depends. I mean, you got to look at. I would like a breakdown of what the studios are making, and then we can figure it out. Let's see how much the studio rakes in for a certain property, and then we'll go down the list and see what's going on, and you can divert a
Yeah,
certain number for writing, cast, and production, and to help those guys out. Because if we're just talking actors, what about the director of photography? What about the cinematographer? What about these key positions?
exactly.
I haven't heard anything
Hmm.
about that. So it's complicated, but generally
Well,
speaking,
I think
I stay with
directors.
the.
Yeah, it is.
But go ahead, go ahead.
Well, no, I think we're both on the same page here. We agree that the writers and the actors do deserve better compensation for their time and their efforts and their talent, but at the same time, I think the studios and maybe even to a degree the actors should say, "You expect me to perform this Tell the writers to go back and do better. The
That's true.
writers
But see,
the writer,
that's not the
Mhm.
yeah, dude. That's not the writer's fault. It depends on who you hire. You could take a great writer and destroy and
That's true
dismantle his
too.
script. You know who originally wrote the script? See, this is a good example. The person, so Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, not a great movie. You agree?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay,
By no
okay, so
means.
not a great movie. The guy who originally was hired to write the script was fucking Frank Darabont, who wrote Shawshank Redemption, and they axed his script. That's who they hired. So they originally had Frank Darabont, who did Shawshank Redemption, The Majestic. What's that Stephen King movie in the Mist? So Frank Darabont, the guy who
Mhm.
brought the Walking Dead to television back when it was good, Frank Darabont, an all-time great writer, and they cut his script in half. Spielberg loved what Darabont had done. George Lucas said no, so that's what happened. But see, the studios don't care. They don't necessarily want quality, dude. That's what you got to keep in mind. So writers oftentimes are constrained. Oftentimes, dude, they're flipped around. A lot of these movies, you'll have 10 or 15 writers before they get a script. So it's not the writer's fault. It's the studios. And if they hire a bad writer, that's their fault, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, but Frank Darabont, he's a damn good writer. I mean, a damn good writer. And they axed
Absolutely.
his script?
Yes. And
why in the hell would Lucas be that damn okay? As much as I like George Lucas for obvious reasons, what the hell were you thinking, George?
Well, I'm with you there.
I'm serious, George Lucas. What the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, George, total visionary. We love George, but he made a bad decision here.
Yeah, you damn right he made a bad decision. What the hell were you thinking? What's the matter? Did you have a pissing contest with Frank Darabont? He did something that you didn't like? What do you do, piss in your Cheerios?
Well, the thing is, dude, is when you hire somebody who's good, they can't be controlled, really. You can't wrangle somebody who's good because they will push through their own concept. And it's when it comes to something like that, you either take it or leave it. Like, here's my vision of your idea. And it had incorporated a lot of the ideas, like ancient architecture and, stuff like that. So all the stuff George had requested was in there. It just was not structured in the right way.
Daniel, you're not wrong, son. You're not wrong.
But that's real.
Okay.
That's real. That's real. You guys can look that up. There's plenty of stuff. There's documentaries. Darabont did interviews. Dude, Darabont worked for like a year on that shit. Spielberg loved it. And Darabont was really pissed because George and Steven were partners. So they both had to agree. But Darabont had really committed to it.
I don't blame him. I'd be pissed too.
Dude, Harrison was happy. Harrison was happy with Darabont's script too.
Well, of course not. Harrison Ford has a good taste, usually. That just boggles my mind because that almost reminds me of something that would happen in a world like The Running Man. Just to segue to one of the other movies you brought.
Very good.
That sounds like something that would happen in The Running Man.
All right,
we didn't like it.
Let me read the tagline on the title, okay?
Okay.
A game nobody survives, but Schwarzenegger has yet to play. Pretty good.
Here's the thing. I never saw Running Man in theaters. I was too young at the time because it came out in I think the early or mid 80s. It's something even Mother and Bastard would have let me see or anything at the time. But I saw it on TV. I saw edited versions, and then when we finally got our VCR in '97, and we got a Blockbuster membership, we rented that sucker. I got to watch it in all of its R-rated glory, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love all the kills. I love all the violence. I'm just sitting there eating.
Go ahead.
I'm just sitting there drinking my soda, eating my Junior Mints. I'm like, Mom, This movie's even better unedited. She's like, yeah, you get all the blood and gore. I'm like, yeah.
Did your mom like it?
Oh, okay. Let me break something down. Let me explain something very succinctly to you, Zach. My mother is from the baby boom generation. She was born in 46. She grew up on the old black and white serials, all the old black and white science fiction movies, like a couple that I'm going to discuss in September for my birthday review streams. She grew up watching war movies, westerns, John Wayne, Gary Cooper, Jimmy Stewart, Lee Marvin, all those guys, Chuck Connors, the Rifleman, Gunsmoke, war movies, action, all that stuff. The 1970s and 1980s come along. You've got Schwarzenegger, you've got Stallone, you've got
De Niro.
De Niro. You've got
you had Mean Streets. Mean Streets, Raging Bull. You had De Niro.
Yeah, you've got all the Mom didn't really go for the crime movies. She went more for the action movies, but we did occasionally. No, it's okay. I'm trying to give you a short.
What about like Gene Hackman, French Connection? Is that kind of the thing? Would that fall into it?
I think she may. It might have. I don't know if we rented it like once or twice. I think we rented it once or twice, but I think it was just me that watched it. I don't think she ever watched it with me. Okay. But I was always interested in seeing it. Actually, if I remember it, yeah, she has seen it because she referenced Gene Hackman's character, Popeye Doyle. So yeah, she did see it. But her taste in movies rubbed off on me. Her and her mother, my grandmother, their taste in movies rubbed off of me. And over time, I developed my own taste in movies. But when it came to action movies, particularly from the 1980s, the 1970s, going backwards and going forward in time and everything, she was always my influence, and not by no means in a bad way. The one thing we varied on, we loved action. We liked horror movies to varying degrees. We liked the old slasher movies like Jason and Michael Myers, and to a lesser degree, Freddy and everything. But the one thing we differed on, because we both had different tastes in humor, were comedies. I had a particular type of comedic movies I liked. She had hers. Sometimes it meshed, other times it didn't. But Running Man, Commando, but we're talking sci-fi, so specifically Running Man and like Predator.
Running Man is so good. We'll get into that. I want to throw out another one. If you want to do, sure. I don't know how long you're streaming tonight here, but
I'm going for as long as I feel like. I'm going for as long as I feel like going. I don't have to work tomorrow. I don't work again until Tuesday.
I got a bullet in the chamber aside from Running Man. Okay.
Okay. Shoot.
The Road Warrior.
Ooh.
Oh yes. Shit. Now, we got to talk about the Running Man. We've been putting this off for like 45 minutes. Okay, we got to get into it. All right, so
hey, it's my stream. We'll get to it when we want to get to it.
We got to do Running Man. So Road Warrior.
Okay, let's do. Yeah, Running Man. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. Also, again, Jim Brown.
Yeah, that guy's underrated. Pyro. Very underrated. Was he a football guy?
You do know what Jim Brown originally started out as, right?
I thought he was a football player.
You got it. He was a running back for the Cleveland Browns, if I remember correctly. Yep.
Yeah, dude, that guy's underrated too. He's pretty good.
His first big role was actually in the original Dirty Dozen with Lee Marvin. And he had done several roles since then.
Nice. Well, we also got Jesse Ventura.
We actually just Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura.
I think it's the same.
That guy is fucking amazing.
It's the same actor, but the actor who played Odd Job from Goldfinger played Sub-Zero. I think it's the same actor. I'm pretty sure it is.
Is he? Okay.
Did you ever have? I know there have been a lot of James Bond films over the years.
I'm a fan.
Fireball.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Did you? Thank you, Daniel. Fireball, not Inferno. Sorry, Fireball. Okay, that was James Brown's character. Did you ever see Did you ever see Goldfinger?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
What is his real name? It's like Ulrich.
No, it's Japanese because I believe he is Japanese. Hold on.
No.
I'll pull it up.
No, I mean the character's name. Ulfric, something like that.
No,
Ulfric.
Sub-Zero.
I thought you were talking about Goldfinger. Ulfric Goldfinger.
Oh, Ulrich.
Ulrich. Okay. So I'm close. I'm close.
Ulrich Goldfinger. Yeah.
I was pretty close. Yeah, dude. Goldfinger's classic. Dude, Goldfinger is kind of the gold standard of Bond villains. Dude, I just watched a great Bond documentary.
It is.
Yeah, James Bond. I could do a stream on that sometime.
Let's see. Okay, here is the... Shoot. Hang on. Okay, yeah, here's the cast list for The Running Man. Obviously, you got... Where are you? Where are you, bud? Come on, where are you? You've got to be kidding me. They've got everybody listed by him. How can they not have him listed?
Sub-Zero?
Yeah, I'm not seeing him on the damn cast. No, wait a minute. Here he is. Professor Toru Tanaka, Sub-Zero. Unless I'm mistaken, I'm going to pull up his IMDb. I think this is the same guy that played Oddjob in Goldfinger. It looks like the same actor. I could be wrong. Let's see. Wow. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, not surprising. Born January 6th, 1930. Died August 22nd, 2000. Nope, I was wrong. Known for I'll be a son of a gun. He was in Last Action Hero. Now I gotta watch it.
So good.
I actually got a copy of it on DVD. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do a review of it. He was in Last Action Hero. He was in Running Man, and he was in Dark Man with oh crap in a hat. Liam Neeson. It was actually one of Liam Neeson's early. I like his very first starring role. He was also in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He plays a butler. Okay, so it's not the same actor. So
okay,
no,
should I read the back of the case?
Yeah, go for it. Hang on, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm listening.
The year is 2019. Television is now ruling people's lives. A little professorial. I mean, come on. The most popular audience participation game show is The Running Man, where convicts can win pardons instead of, quote, parting gifts by defeating murderous henchmen known as stalkers. The stalkers haven't had much of a challenge lately until Ben Richards, Schwarzenegger, comes along. Wrongly convicted of slaughtering, and this is wild. I don't even remember this part. 1,500 innocent people. Where the fuck did that come from? Wrongly convicted of slaughtering 1,500 innocent people. I remember him getting arrested. Or I remember him at the prison or something at the beginning. There's a little beginning part. But 1,500 people. I don't know where that came from. Maybe he was they said he was a terrorist or something. Richards is the next contestant to fight for his life. Where did they get 1,500 people, though? God damn.
They probably inflated the number for the trial and for the broadcast to make it sound more sensational. Think about it. That's what they did.
Is the next contestant to fight for his life, ... and his freedom. When the Running Man host Damian Killian Dawson says, "Come on down. Be prepared to play. Be prepared to pay with your life." But Ben Richards isn't going down without a fight. Off Richards goes into the burned out sections of Los Angeles to face 4 of Killian's ace stalkers. Sub-Zero wielding his razor-sharp hockey sticks, Buzzsaw, and the mechanical motorcycle riding slasher Dynamo, practicing his deadly electric shock treatment, and Fireball with his mighty.
Actually, Dynamo. It's Buzzsaw that rides a motorcycle. It was Dynamo that rode the go kart. They had all the lights all over it.
And Fireball with his mighty flame-throwing arsenal. Now the entire country is glued to the tube in a heart-pounding, sudden death battle. There you go. No, it's a fun movie.
Man.
Let me ask you this:
it is
your favorite stalker?
Ooh. I'm kind of like the old lady that Damian Killian's talking to when she's trying to pick the next stalker after Ben Richards kills Sub-Zero.
All right, so you got Fireball, Dynamo, Buzzsaw, Sub-Zero.
Don't forget Dynamo, and also Captain Freedom, played by Jesse Ventura.
Captain Freedom don't count. He's like a host or some shit, right?
Well, they actually use him in it's an in-show alternate ending where they actually show Captain Freedom and Ben Richards fighting one-on-one, and Captain Freedom, Jesse Ventura's character, ends up killing him. And it's all digitized, it's all fake and everything. And so technically, you do see him get the kill on Richardson, or Schwarzenegger's character.
But he doesn't count. He's not the. Is he the host?
Yeah. No, Dawson's character, Richard Killian, is the host.
Because I recall Jesse Ventura walking around the set in like a white suit.
No, he's in the stalker locker room, getting ready to talk to the other stalkers, because he used to be a stalker himself. So he's kind
of like the hype man type guy.
He does kind of like the color commentary type of thing for the show.
Okay.
If you remember in the early 80s when WWF was getting big, he was actually a commentator for a long time when he kind of
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Dude, Jesse's great. Well, Jesse's a very underrated guy too.
Well, you have to remember him and Schwarzenegger do another very iconic. I guess you could call it a cult classic and everything, but everything a few years later, and that's of course Predator.
We'll just call it a blockbuster.
It was very much a blockbuster, and they had way too many sequels. They should have stopped at Predator. I'll say this: I know some people don't care for it, but I like Predator 2 just as much. Although, granted, the first Predator will always be iconic. Predator 2 is always good. In terms of, back to your question, my favorite stalker, the one with the best one-liners, Buzzsaw. Buzzsaw has the best one-liners because he's like, I love this saw. It's a part of me. And now it's going to be a part of you. And eventually Richardson gets the upper hand on him, and actually, okay, granted, you don't see it, but Richardson starts to take the buzz. He takes the buzzsaw up through Buzzsaw's crotch, and
it's brutal.
You don't see him. brutal as hell. Grant, you don't see it because even though it's got an R rating, there's only so much.
You see his face, though. You see his face.
Yeah, you see his face, and you start to see the blood spatter.
Brutal.
By far, one of the most memorable stalkers and everything, most definitely.
They were all cool, though. They were all cool. It felt like a it felt like a video game, kind of. My favorite stalker. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Zach. Please go ahead.
All right. No, my favorite stalker, Dynamo. That is my favorite stalker. He was so weird, and he's out there singing opera.
Probably because he sings opera.
There you go. Yeah, he was weird. He there was just something memorable about him.
Well, it's that suit. I mean, you've got a fat guy running around in a go-kart, shooting lightning at people. I'm thinking, okay, that's different.
It was cool, but
you have
was
music
also,
while you're dying.
If I'm not mistaken, he's the last stalker standing there at the end, and the chick kills him, right?
Yeah, Mary Conchita Alonso's character ends up killing him. She electrocutes him. Everything because he doesn't get killed. He survives the seemingly being taken out by Schwarzenegger's character, but he isn't actually dead. And she's there in the hallway, and he's trying to. They're both knocked. They both fall on the ground and everything, and she sets off the sprinklers. And I don't know how, but somehow or another, the wiring on his suit is exposed or something, and he gets electrocuted, essentially.
Yep. Well, the thing is,
I have to say,
go ahead. No, you first.
Okay, real quick. One of my favorite one-liners. It's by Schwarzenegger. It's just before he gets sent down into the game zone, and he looks at Killian and he says, "I'll be back." And Killian says, only in a rerun, son. And Richardson just stares him down, and Killian looks at him. He's like, "Oh shit, he actually means it." So go ahead.
Well, so they find rebels out there or some shit like that too in LA, and you've got kind of the underbelly of the society going on out there. You know, you've got there's a Mexican lady and some people that they meet, and it's interesting. I would classify this as dystopian fiction.
Dystopian sci-fi, most definitely. Yeah. Well, okay, here's the crazy thing. Do you remember who the leader of the rebellion is, or the rebels is?
No.
You probably don't, and that's okay. Mick Fleetwood of the band Fleetwood Mac.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do not remember that. It's been a while.
One of the few times. Yeah. Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac, and he says, "You have the con, Mr. Spock." And one of the younger goes, "Who's Mr. Spock?" And he just sits there and goes, just as a face palm. He's like, "Oh dear Lord." One of my other. I got to bring up
Did you ever do Star Trek on here?
I've done some of the original cast movies. I did one stream where I covered 2 through 4 called it's what's known as the Unintentional Trilogy. I did Star Trek 6, but as far as anything else, no. And it's not that I haven't wanted to; it's just I've never gotten back around to it.
My favorite
honestly
one,
of
dude,
the next.
I may have mentioned this to you. Is my all-time favorite is The Undiscovered Country.
I actually did a review of it back 2, maybe going on 3 years ago now. But yeah, I remember going to see Star Trek 6 in theaters and everything. And all. Okay, crazy little segue, but kind of pertinent because it is sci-fi. I never got to see before. I never got to see 2, 3, or 4, or even Star Trek: The Motion Picture in theater. But I always enjoyed Star Trek as a kid because I grew up watching the original series, and I grew up when Next Generation started its run on TV and everything in syndication.
Yeah, those movies are inferior. The films are inferior. I think there's no.
You mean the next? You mean the Next Generation films?
Absolutely, there's no comparison.
I would have to agree. The only one that I really enjoyed, balls to the wall enjoyed, was First Contact. I did like aspects.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's not bad.
Nemesis had some good parts to it, but overall, it just didn't hit as hard as.
No.
But here's
the
thing.
you got so many good ones in the original. You got Wrath of Khan, that's a fucking classic. You got Undiscovered Country. For me, those two are gold-plated. Talk about the platinum CDs for music. Those are in my platinum CDs of film. Those are great movies.
2, 3, 4, and 6, all of them I love, especially Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, because it's a time travel story. Granted, they've done time travel stories before, but the thing about Star Trek 4 that I like, it gives me a picture into the earlier mid-1980s and everything, because I grew up in the 80s, but there are parts of it I don't necessarily remember, but it's a nice little snapshot of that world. Not to mention, it's a time travel story. It's a fish out of water story, and yes, I know it does have some of the. It does have.
I don't like it. Dude, is that the one where Kirk is on the mountain at the beginning?
No. Star Trek 4 is the one that takes place after the search for Spock.
Star Trek 4 Undiscovered Country? Is Undiscovered Country is number 5?
No, Undiscovered Country is number 6. You just said it yourself. If you let me get a word in edgewise, I'll tell you the premise for Star Trek 4. In Star Trek 4, it's in the aftermath of Star Trek 3, where they finally find Spock on the Genesis planet. Star Trek 4 picks up pretty much 6 months or so after the events of Star Trek 3. The crew of the Enterprise is still stuck on Vulcan. Spock is undergoing the retraining of his mind. They're deciding whether or not to go back to Earth to face the Federation for stealing the Enterprise so they could go rescue Spock.
Crap. I'm sorry, but the search for Spock, waste of time. Leave him dead.
I liked it, but that's beside the point. The first Star Trek film I ever saw in theaters with Mother Ambassador was Star Trek 5. The Final Frontier. That's the one a lot of Trek fans have problems with.
The Final Frontier. Which one is the one where Kirk is on the ice planet?
Star Trek 6.
Called?
The Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. I'm just making sure. All right.
Star Trek 5 is the one where Spock and Kirk and McCoy are in Yosemite National Park, and they use a climbing double, and then they use a set to show Kirk climbing El Capitan in the middle of Yosemite National Park.
Nonsense. Complete nonsense. And then we had the worst one ever. The worst one ever. Star Trek Generations. A complete waste of time clusterfuck.
Oh,
mess.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I watched that one in theaters too because
my God.
I wish I was young. I didn't know no better. It was Star Trek.
Generations is Generations where they blew up the Enterprise too. Crash landed it, right?
They crashed the Enterprise D on the Enterprise. The drive section got destroyed by the Duras sisters from the series, and they separated the drive section from the saucer section, and the saucer section crashed on a planet, and Data says, "Oh shit!"
I'm still pissed. I mean, that was the best looking ship that they had. You know, I mean, what?
I like the Enterprise D. I like the Enterprise D. I'm not gonna lie, but for me, aesthetically speaking, the best looking ship in Star Trek, from my opinion at least, will be the Excelsior class. The one that Sulu eventually gets to command in Star Trek 6. Oh, God.
I hate Sulu.
What
do you say to
everything. That? You hate everything.
No, you know what? My hatred for George Takei really has inspired my hatred for his character.
I do, because we've actually discussed that. And
yeah, it's his fault.
His character is fine, but him as a person, he's kind of a jerk.
He is.
And we've discussed that.
I'll just throw this out here really quick to defend myself. George Takei was pissed off that Shatner didn't show up to his first scene on his new ship by himself. I mean, get the fuck out of it. Get over yourself, George. Unbelievable.
I mean, let's be honest here. It's not that Sulu is a forgettable character. He's a good character, but in terms of the movies, he doesn't necessarily do a lot. Okay. All right, bud. I'll see. Don't fall in. Zach had to go visit the little ambassador's room. But honestly, yeah. For those of you who have ever wondered, what was my first Star Trek cinematic experience? It was Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Now, at the time, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I didn't, because I did. But compared to Star Trek VI, Star Trek V, yeah, Daniel, you're not wrong. He kind of does. Everything. I have no idea. Well, we know kind of why, but at the same time, George Takei, get over yourself. Really. But I will say this in comparison, in a very long retrospect, Star Trek 6 of the original cast, original series movies, Star Trek 6 has a lot of great moments. I've discussed this in the past, so you can go check out that stream and everything if you want to. It's on one of my playlists, I believe. I think it's under pop culture streams of the 90s. I need to go back and retitle all my playlists. I need to do some better titles. But, in terms of, the last Star Trek movie I saw in theaters was actually Star Trek 09, when Zach is going to freak out if he hears this. I did go see Star Trek 09 with the new crew, and with Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana and Zachary Quinto and all of them. And I did, for the most part, enjoy it. I wasn't blown away by any stretch, but I did enjoy it. But me and my buddy, he was at the time anyway, my buddy, now former friend, Brian Hill, we did a review series on all three of the new Trek films, Star Trek 09, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond. And as I watched those movies for that series of reviews, yeah, those movies just kind of went downhill. It was kind of a shame because they started off with some promise, but they just went splat. It's like they went down a black hole of suckness. But to
Let me
say
throw, let me throw something out about those films real quick.
Sure,
So
by all means.
my sister is somebody I try and share movie ideas with. Like I'll, once in a while she'll say like, what should I watch or whatever. But I tried showing her when she was like a little kid. I showed her Wrath of Khan, not interested. I showed her Undiscovered Country, not interested. Showed her the new shit. She's like, this is great. Why don't you lead with this? So. But see, the thing is, dude, is we got to keep in mind, not everything is for us. Like, I think probably the new stuff is more for the newer crowd. Where I can't remember which one I showed her, dude. I showed her the one where you start off on that like tribal planet with the red trees. I can't remember which one that is.
That was Star Trek. That was Star Trek Beyond, I think.
And she loved it. Yeah, she loved it.
That was Star Trek. I think that was actually Star Trek Into Darkness. I think that was the second one. Did it have Benedict Cumberbatch in it?
I can't remember. I mean, they kind of blend together. I remember Bruce Greenwood was in the first one, and he played like an admiral or something. They were they were okay, dude. They were okay. I felt it's nothing great. Better than, I will throw this out, better than some of the next gen films. I can tell you that.
That's why here's the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
Okay, so hold that thought because I want to hear it. But my favorite next gen film, or I could say my favorite scene, is Patrick Stewart slamming the gun into the glass. Picard, blow up the ship. No. I love that scene.
Star Trek First Contact.
Okay, love that scene. Dude, Patrick Stewart with that Shakespearean edge to him when he pulls out the Shakespearean, just amazing. I mean, there's something about those British guys that is just amazing. The British Shakespearean guys.
I agree. From my perspective, here's the thing. The reason why I've never done the next gen films is I really wouldn't have a whole lot to say about them. It's not that I dislike them. It's just that they aren't really a good. They aren't a good jumping off point for an interesting discussion. That's why I don't discuss them.
Well, it depends.
It's not that I hate it.
Depends on how you go about it. Because to me, this conversation. Well, if you ever did do this, I would join you for them if it lined up. But see, the thing is, if we compare this to other films, that's where it becomes intriguing. Like you can compare this to, like, I think probably all three of them are better than Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Nemesis and some of these and Generations. So in terms of the bigger picture of Star Trek films, I think they're fairly comfortable in there, aside from maybe Beyond with Idris, where it's like, what the fuck were they thinking in that one? But they were okay. Like you said, you had promise off the top, and they kind of went downhill after that. Casting Benedict was really a big red flag, and then it just kind of kept going downhill.
Yeah. Although I will say this much. That movie did give Benedict Cumberbatch a lot of opportunities because a lot of people did like his take as Khan. They did, and I, to a degree, I did as well. But he'll never stack up next to Ricardo Montalban. Not
even fucking close. But see, the OGs like us. See, that's the problem. We rejected it outright. We rejected it. So that's your problem. I mean, and see, the thing is, they tried to go and do this fanciful bullshit like, we've got a parallel timeline or some shit like that. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So Just
Yeah.
do a reboot. I liked seeing Leonard Nimoy come back, though. Him as Old Spock was cool. So you've got some decent shit
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, there are some good. Here's the thing. With the next gen films, there are aspects of all of them that have some interesting. There is interesting discussion, but in terms of like basing a whole stream on either one or all three of them, it's maybe a little more work than they're worth. At least from my perspective. I
Okay.
mean, okay. The ideas behind, say, Shinzon, played by Tom Hardy in Nemesis, was interesting. Him playing off of Patrick Stewart as Picard. The idea of, I mean, and here's the other thing too. I'm not saying that I haven't done this and necessarily that it's a bad thing, but I will never like actively like plagiarize another YouTuber's content or anything. I mean, every YouTuber has their own distinct voice, their own distinct style, how they present their discussions, how they frame their discussions. But I don't have an active interest in covering the next gen films because here's the thing. And this might sound a little bit narrow-minded, but at the same time it isn't. Nothing will ever really top the original series films because those 6 films, love or hate them, depending on which ones you love and which ones you don't care for. Even the weaker ones, you've still got the dynamic of that original cast.
Yeah.
I love here's the thing. They transferred well from the small screen to the big screen. The Next Generation cast,
Absolutely.
the Next Generation cast just didn't have that same punch.
True. Well, here's it. Well, I'll just throw this out there. I think it'll help what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Tarantino has said that his key into Star Trek, period, is William Shatner. So coming from a guy like Tarantino, I mean, that's a big stamp of approval for the old films. Without Shatner, Tarantino said, I have no interest. But based on that, pulled him into Star Trek. He even considered at one point directing a Star Trek film.
I would have loved to have seen Tarantino do a sci-fi film, but being his last film is going to be called The Movie Critic, obviously that's not going to happen. But you know what? Tarantino is a director I have long loved.
He said if he did Star Trek, it wouldn't count. So that's still open-ended, kind of.
Granted, but this is a guy who's done some really out there films, but really great films that I have long enjoyed. Some that I've not seen, but I want to see. I just have to make the time to purchase them and watch them.
Have you seen Django?
Django Unchained. I've seen clips of it on like YouTube, and I'm like, I have got to see this damn movie because it is a great movie.
I think it's his best film. It is. You have to see it. It is. Totally his best film. It is.
I respect your opinion.
No, it is. There's no way you can spin it. After you see Django, you will see Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. Everything else he's done is inferior. Django is his best film.
I think there's one better, but although it's not necessarily one film.
Kill Bill. No, Django is better. Django is better.
I don't know.
You haven't seen it.
I'd have
I'm
to
telling
sit
you.
down and watch it. I'd have to sit down and watch it all the way through. I will say one of my favorites of his in his later years, The Hateful Eight. I loved The Hateful Eight. I absolutely did. Very few people do a take on the spaghetti western in a more darker and grimmer tone better than Quentin Tarantino, except for
Okay.
the man that except for the man that pioneered the spaghetti western. That's of course Sergio Leone.
I would put
Sergio Leone
I would dude, I would put
perfected.
Django. I would put Django right up against The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly any day of the fucking week.
Ooh, that's a bold claim.
Any
I'm
day of
not
the
saying
fucking week.
I'm not saying it isn't necessarily unwarranted, but that's a bold claim because I'm not saying those are fighting words by any stretch, but
Yeah.
but here's the thing, and this is something I'm probably gonna put together for the Ultra Retro project. I want to do the dollars films.
Mm.
Fistful of dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Three of the greatest westerns of all time, bar
Yeah,
none,
dude.
except for maybe a handful of John Wayne's westerns. Now there are some of John Wayne's
The
that are
Searchers.
absolutely
The Searchers is on there.
The Searchers. Oh yeah, you
Yep.
damn right it's on there.
Searchers is on there.
That's gonna have to be. We can talk about this a little bit, but that's gonna have to be another
Yeah,
Ambassadorial Cinema stream.
I know. I know.
The truly great westerns, both retro, ultra retro, and modern. Now, granted, there haven't been too many modern westerns, but there are a few.
My grandfather, this is kind of one of my keys into cinema. When I was a little kid, when I was a little boy, dude, my grandfather would show me these great westerns. And he was a cultured guy, so he would show me different films and stuff. He showed me The Untouchables with
Robert Stack,
with a bunch of people, man, with Sean Connery and everybody. So
the movie, you mean the movie? Is that what you mean?
The movie.
Okay.
So
okay,
but he would show me stuff like that with De Niro playing
Capone.
Scarface, yeah, Capone.
Yeah, Capone.
So there you go. But my grandfather introduced me into that stuff, and my grandfather, dude, was such a Western fan. He used to take me to this little bookshop where he would purchase Western books, and dude, this guy was so into it that even as an old man at the time, he would read a Western a night. He would read the books every single night. He would read a whole book every night. So he introduced me into like the genre of westerns and Fistful of Dollars and all this shit, Pale Rider. But yeah, he was a great guy. But that's a big part of my film influence. The old man.
Kind of like my dad had an influence on me in terms of films and everything. Granted, it wasn't as much and everything because, like I've talked before, he passed when I was 7. But I always asked Mother Ambassador, what were the movies that Dad liked, and she could rattle off a whole bunch of them. And
cool.
some of the ones that the two of them went to see and everything when they were dating or when the early years of their marriage and everything before he got sick and all. But the one genre that she told me that he absolutely loved, and I can understand why, and I know it's a genre you're going to dislike, and I understand that too. It's a musical.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, you got it.
And but here's the thing, and that's okay because musicals are not for everybody. I mean, there is one musical I will dig my heels in and I will never watch. And it's not that I dislike it. It's simply because I watched it so much or I had to watch it so much, I got sick of it. And it's one of the greatest musicals of all time. I mean, it is. It is regarded as one of the greatest music. The Sound of Music.
Okay.
Now, this is where you and I are going to dovetail because you You said yourself, and I understand it. You don't like musicals. It's fine.
On principle, there's not
Yeah.
a single one I like.
And
except
that's
wait.
honestly fine.
Wait. There's two exceptions. Okay.
Okay,
The
what
Wizard of Oz.
are the exceptions?
The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Charlie and the
What's
Chocolate
the other one?
Factory. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay. Those are two that I think everybody can respect you for, because those are iconic.
Well, the Wizard of Oz, dude, that's in the conversation for one of, like top 10 greatest ever.
It is.
So
it absolutely is. Yeah. I like the old timey, the musicals from like the 1960s and so on. Anything like, and even going back further than that, like going to like the 1930s or 40s or 50s or whatever. And man, we really gotten off topic, but you know what? I don't care, because this is a good conversation, so I don't care.
I'll throw this out here too. I'll throw one more thing out. Okay, so I Mary Poppins, dude, to me is like torture. But
I love Mary Poppins. But fair enough. Go ahead.
Well, it's just like I'm being tortured, and it's not like purposeful. I just, as I'm watching this shit, I feel like I'm being tortured. That's my feeling. It's not my goal. But
yeah, obviously.
Having said that, I love Dick Van Dyke. I think he's one of the great actors. Just a great guy.
Yes, he is. He just recently turned 97.
I have so much respect for him.
Still, do you know? And here's the crazy thing. You probably didn't see it, and that's okay. But me and the missus and Mother Bester, we went to see Mary Poppins Returns in theaters when it came out around Christmas a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Here's the kicker. Here is the kicker. Dick Van Dyke has a cameo appearance as one of the bankers from. He does his own dance routine. He's granted, he isn't as limber as he was when he was younger when they did the original, and that's understandable, obviously, because he's in his 90s. But he did his own dancing. It was him up there on the desk hoofing it. I imagine they had to take a lot of precautions because of his age, but he did it.
Well, when you get to a certain age, I mean, Chris Plummer, another musical actor.
Oh man,
right? One of the great.
Obviously, Sound of Music, yeah.
But when he died, I was so surprised because, dude, he was in perfect health. He had a movie out that year, and he just fell down some stairs, and that was it. It's like so sad, fucking tragic. I mean, Chris Plummer.
Daniel Martin brings up a good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just Daniel Martin's comment. If Tarantino really wanted to jolt us with his ass movie, he would tackle the musical genre.
Fuck no, it'd be rap, dude. It would be rap if it was.
You never know. Dude, Tarantino could surprise you.
Dude, he's so good. Tarantino has rap in Django. Dude, even this, I would put the soundtrack of Django up against anybody too. I mean, one of the great soundtracks. So many good tracks.
Probably is.
Django, I'll say this to you. You know, as a fan of The Hateful Eight, as you've just said, Django is, I mean, I don't know how far I want to go, 100,000 times better than The Hateful Eight. I mean, I was close to saying 1 million times. I've seen both. I've seen both more than once. Django is 100,000 times better.
I don't know what it is about Hateful Eight. Maybe it's the cast. I don't know, but
you got a better cast than Django.
I've not.
No, you got a better cast than Django.
I've seen the cast. the cast for Django is good. I'm not saying the cast for Django isn't good.
I know you're not.
I'm
but
operating.
Sam Jackson. There's layers in Django. Sam Jackson. You've got Leonardo DiCaprio, Kerry Washington,
Yep.
Don Johnson, Christoph Waltz alone.
Christoph Waltz. Yep, I know. I know.
Dude, that guy in that movie is worth $50 million. That is one of the great characters of all time. You know, Christoph Waltz.
Yep.
A guy who can carry a piece of shit movie very easily because he's fucking Christoph Waltz. He did a TV show called he did like a Hulu TV show and played this creepy CEO guy who shows up after the original CEO kills himself, and he was phenomenal. Christoph Waltz, one of the great talents. Jamie Foxx, you know, you could go down the list.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill makes a cameo. You just got a great cast. Walton Goggins, and I'm sure I'm leaving some people out. Bruce Stern.
Walton Bruce Goggins Stern also. Yeah,
Bruce Stern is
and both of them were also in the Hateful Eight. Yeah, they were also. Walter Goggins and Bruce Stern were also in the Hateful Eight, if I remember correctly. I'm almost certain about Bruce Stern.
Can I pull up a scene? Just give me one scene.
Copyright.
Okay.
Zach, I love you like a brother, but copyright. Sorry.
All right. Okay. No problem.
Whew. Wow, what a no, what's the word? It starts with a D. That's the word I'm looking for here.
What a douchebag! Is that what you're about to say to me?
No. What?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Daniel, thank you. Yeah. I did not forget about him, but I'm glad you reminded me. Kurt Russell and Jeffrey and Jason Lee were in Hateful Eight, and they were great. Yes, they were. Okay. To kind of get back on track a little bit and kind of start to wrap this thing up. Not that this hasn't been fun. It has. Really. Another... I cannot, for the life of me, remember if I've covered this movie. I probably have not, or if I have, you know what? I don't care. Another great cult classic, sci-fi. No, not dysfunctional, Daniel. Digression. That's it. Digression. What a digression. Okay, back on topic. A very, I think, at the time underappreciated, but has very much grown a cult following, and yes, most definitely within the sci-fi genre. I've talked about this director, I've talked about this movie a little bit here and there, but a great cult classic from the 1980s, starring Kurt Russell, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh.
Well,
that's an easy one.
I love this movie. You'll have no... I even like the prequel that they did back in 2011. Or no, yeah, 2011. That was the year everything went... went sideways.
I think also entitled The Thing, correct?
Yes. Well, here's the interesting concept, because I don't want to use the same word that's the name of the movie. Carpenter had discussed over many years doing like a prequel for The Thing, discussing what happened at the Norwegian base. And he finally got around to doing it in 2011. And it actually...
What was his involvement? Producer?
No. Well, he might have been producer, but he was director.
No, he was not.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll
double check.
I'll bet you every dollar I have. He was not.
I might be wrong, but let's see. Hold on. 2011. There's the cast. Box office, $31.5 million. Okay, this is Wikipedia. I don't trust Wikipedia, but I'd rather have. Where's the IMDb? There it is. Yep, there's the IMDb. Okay. You were right. It wasn't Carpenter. I can't begin to pronounce this name. He might have been a producer, though. If I had to venture a guess, Carpenter was probably a producer on this. The director's name is Matthias van Huygens Jr. Huygens Jr.
Click on him. See, has he done anything else? Because I've seen the 2011 one as well. But you know that guy's name does not ring a bell.
Hang on. Well, he directed a 2020 film called The Forgotten Battle. He obviously did The Thing. He did Camera Electric Department, 1988 Amsterdam, and director 1996 Red Rain. It was a short.
Yeah, that does not sound great. not exactly. Not exactly a beaming resume. We'll let's just put it that way.
But you know what? Here's the thing. Damn it. Here's the fact. Here's the matter of the situation. Even if he had not done other things, I will say this. He did a very good job doing this prequel to a very much beloved cult classic from the 1980s. I mean, the original 1980s film. I mean, you've got Kurt Russell, you've got Keith David, you've got Wilford Brimley, for Pete's sakes.
Who's also, by the way, a character. Wilford Brimley also appears in The Firm, which I told you about earlier.
Yeah, the one with
Tom Cruise,
Gene Hackman, Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yep.
But some of the story it does stick with you, but the other thing that really sticks with you is the practical special effects for The Thing. Here's the crazy situation around the movie. When it originally released, guess what other now well-known cult classic also released just a few weeks, I think, before it, or like pretty much the same week? Any ideas? Because I can tell you.
Give me a hint.
Spielberg.
When was this film released? The
Thing?
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sakes! Hang on. I've got my copy.
It's got to be like copy. 84, something like that.
Hang on. I got my copy.
I've got an idea.
Just a few feet away.
I have an idea.
I've got it just a few feet away from me. Just hang on a second.
All right, turning off the camera just for more covert. This is a covert operation here. I'm going to say Temple of Doom.
even close.
All right.
Because
All
it's
right.
in the same genre. It's in the
Okay.
same genre as we've been discussing tonight, and the gold star and the cookie goes to Mr. Daniel Martin.
Well, at least I didn't cheat. Let me say this. You're
Mhm.
going to be disappointed in me here, too. I hate E.T.
Actually, I can understand why. I don't hate it. I actually enjoy it, but I can understand why you wouldn't.
It's too like sappy. Is that the right term? Sappy.
Yeah, I'd say that's the right term. It's too much of a tearjerker.
Yeah, but on purpose. Like you can tell that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's like you got a lot of great movies. When did the Goonies come out? That's kind of around the same time, right?
Oh, you're really gonna make me get up again. Because
Maybe.
just a few feet away from me, we've got our entire movie case.
Well, I got my phone right here. Let's look up the Goonies.
Granted, it's not in the same genre as what we're discussing, but that's why the thing
85.
didn't hit. Okay.
Yeah, Goonies a million times better than E.T. A million times.
I'm not going to entirely disagree with you, but because I love Goonies so much. But I like ET for varying degrees of for varying reasons. I don't hate ET. I haven't watched it that many times, but whereas with the Thing, I can watch that sucker over and over, and it's always a good watch. I mean, you've got Kurt Russell, you got Keith David, but here's the really cool thing about this: it's very atmospheric, it's very claustrophobic. The practical effects are awesome, not to mention gruesome as hell. The only part about the only part about the Thing that I have to skip over that I cannot watch
Oh,
is when the creature is attacking the dogs in the pen. I can't stand that scene. I have to
awesome.
skip it.
I love that shit.
Well, here's Zach. Here's the reason why.
You're a
And
dog lover. It's fine. It's not a
Yeah.
rocket science. I understand.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But
Special effects.
Yes, but one of my favorite special effects shots is when they're doing CPR on the one guy and the doctor goes to put the paddles down and the guy's stomach caves in and it turns into a giant mouth and it bites the doctor's arms off.
Awesome.
Show me a dog being hurt. I can't stand it, but show me a guy's arms being bit off. I'm like, popcorn, soda,
Well,
soda,
the dog
soda.
scene. The dog scene is really the first scene where we know there's something really fucked up going on.
I'll agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You got
That's
those
really the
tentacles.
first time.
Well, John Carpenter, dude, so underrated, and you agree, I'm sure. So underrated because even
I did a
when
whole
those
stream on his movies back when I first started my channel back a couple of years ago.
well, he's
I
so
love
good.
John Carpenter.
He's so good. Like even when those tentacles come out, it creates this weird noise. It goes shh.
Mm-hmm.
But see, all of that is John Carpenter. That's taking a interest in sound design. So John Carpenter's sound design, soundtrack, that very important to building up the intensity of a film.
Because here's the interesting thing. One of the interesting aspects about the Thing. One of the few movies that Carpenter doesn't do the soundtrack for. Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack for the Thing. It's one of the few times that Carpenter doesn't do the soundtrack for one of his movies. Because he did it for, I believe, Starman. He did it for They Live, which I have still never seen. I kick myself.
What?
I need to.
Wow. Yeah, that's on the top of your list.
Yeah. I know the one clip. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. But I've still
That's
never
nothing.
watched.
That's like nothing.
Oh, I know.
That's not even a
Oh, I
standout.
know. Oh, I know. I know. I'm sure there's more, but I'm eventually going to get me a copy, and I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I'll be like, "Yep, so
Dude,
now I
that's
understand
nothing.
all the memes."
Nothing.
Oh, I know.
Keith David is in They Live. He's great.
Yeah.
And, you know, you
Mhm.
got
Yeah, well, he is. But the thing.
But you know
What
what
I
I'm
was talking-
talking about, though. When I
Mhm.
bring up that weird noise, does that
Oh yeah,
connect?
no, I get it. No, I
When
get
those
it.
tentacles
Yep.
come out, it goes. It makes
Mhm.
this weird sound, almost like bugs or something.
It's more to me. It sounds more like a rattlesnake's tail.
But it's creepy. Whatever that
Oh, yeah.
sound is, it's creepy. Sound design, very important. You know, so
Oh
John
yeah,
Carpenter.
especially. Well, John Carpenter, as I was starting to say, most of the movies he did the soundtrack himself. I mean, I think one of his best soundtracks, and they actually ended up doing a music video for it, is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, he's so good. The Big Trouble
That
in Little China. Well,
If
dude,
you
you
say you haven't
convinced
seen
me
that
to.
movie,
No, you convinced me to watch it, and I had a great fucking time.
and did you?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
I had a great fucking time.
Good.
I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I mean, it was so fun.
Okay. All right. We're good. We're gonna talk. I'll clip
Well,
this
let me
out
throw
and put it
that.
up as a short.
Let me throw this out too,
Sure.
real quick. So you
Mhm.
said your favorite
Mhm.
John Carpenter. My favorite soundtrack of his, dude, is "Escape from New York." Where my favorite track
Good
from that
choice.
film
Good
is
choice.
is when Kurt Russell is
Good choice.
heading into the city, and you've got that weird kind of electrical sound to it when he's parachuting in on that glider. That's my favorite track from the film.
Good. That's a good one. All right. I'm gonna clip this out, put it up as a short or something. What now that you have seen Big Trouble in Little China, you have experienced its epicness.
Yes.
What is your favorite moment or favorite quote, if you can remember a favorite quote?
Let me gather the passion here. Here we go. All right. Any scene involving oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? So tell me the dude's name who plays god damn it, the creepy dude.
Lopan
There
or
you go.
Shin?
What's his name? I should
Which
know
one?
this.
Is it Lopan, the bad guy, or Egg Shen, the good guy?
Bad guy.
Lopan, played by James Hong, one of your favorite actors.
Okay, ask me the question again. Here we go. For your short.
Okay.
Here we go. Take two.
Okay. What is your favorite quote from Big Trouble in Little China?
Really, I mean, anything involving James Hong. I mean, one of the great all-time actors. The dude played another underrated part from him, Kung Fu Panda dude, playing Kung Fu Panda's dad.
Mm-hmm.
A great part.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is totally underrated. And anything with him, honestly. I mean, him at the initial confrontation, him in the wheelchair. I mean, you can't go wrong with him.
But you still haven't answered the question. What's your favorite quote by him?
Favorite quote?
If you can remember one.
Does that count?
No. No. You need to watch it a few more times to acclimate yourself to the quotes.
Oh
I
my
can give
god!
I can give you like 3 or 4 right off the top of my head.
I mean, that should count.
Nope, doesn't count. Sorry. A quote is actually a line of dialogue or a series of lines of dialogue by one or more characters in the movie or TV show. I'll give you two of my. I'll give you 2 of my favorites.
I reject your challenge, and I actually one up you with the following series of remarks. All right. Let me go for it. So you got him at the initial confrontation. You got him kind of floating around. He's such a creepy, intriguing character. I mean, every time you see him, dude, just classic. You can't really go wrong. I mean, the only thing that I really dislike is his death. But aside from that, I mean, the dude is pure fucking gold.
Fair enough. Okay. Being you can't give a quote, I will. When you're in a bar and a 10-foot tall maniac has your favorite head tapped against a barroom wall, and he looks you crooked in the eye and says, "Have you paid your dues, pal?" You just look that tall sucker right back in the eye and you say, "Yes, sir, the check is in the mail."
Does not ring a bell.
That's Kurt Russell as Jack Burton.
Well, I remember the film, dude. Jack Burton walking in with the phone. Oh, I'm here to repair the phones. No, I've seen the goddamn film.
Zach, that's not the point. It's not anything. I'm not ragging on you. I'm not giving you any grief. You have no idea how many times I've seen this movie. I have it practically memorized. I have the dialogue. I have the dialogue from the original Star Wars.
I got you
memorized.
Okay. That makes sense to me. I've seen the film twice. Okay, I've seen the film twice. Like if I were to do a review with you, I could hit the tennis ball back at you very easily. But specific lines, plus, dude,
maybe I should. Even though here's the thing. I've reviewed this, but to have a fresh perspective from someone that's only seen it maybe a handful of times, that would be fun. So maybe we should do that at some point.
Well, if you were to challenge me like that, I may have to watch it a third time just to be fully into it. But no, I remember the film very clearly. I mean,
and that's fine.
You've got Kurt Russell, kind of like a joke protagonist, a guy who does not carry the day. Like the final battle, he gets knocked out. Here's the
thing. Here's the interesting thing, though, and you may not know this, but I don't know how you watched it, but I actually have it on Blu-ray, and I have the commentary with Carpenter.
Oh,
thank you, Daniel. We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wang?
I'm trying to recall a quote. I don't even have a single quote.
Kurt Russell is actually not the hero of the movie. Dennis Dunn's character, Wang Chi, is the hero of the movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Kurt Russell's character, Jack Burton, is kind of like the sidekick.
But presented as the protagonist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say hello to the chat. Tim's talk. Tim, it's good to see you, buddy. And I have no idea what you're talking about, but another topic for another time. And as always, Tim, good to see you. What Carpenter wanted to do was he wanted to present a different dynamic. And they actually kind of hint at the concept of this movie right in the middle of the movie. It's when Grace Law, Kim Cattrall's character's best friend, Margot Helgenberger, who is a reporter, she's like, this is like some twisted, weird Alice in Wonderland type of deal right here, isn't it? And I think as Jack says, well, looks like you got yourself a real good story on your hands. And at the end, Margot and it's Margot and Wang Chi's best friend. For heaven's sakes, he's the maitre d' at the restaurant, but I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. Eddie. Eddie. And she's flirting really hard with Eddie. And she's like, maybe you can come over to my place sometime and help me find the title. Because she's really taking a shine to Eddie.
Well, dude, I mean, the whole film
Not
is
to
great.
mention Grace.
I mean,
Gracie's
the fight
car,
scenes,
that-
dude. The fight
Oh,
scenes
dude.
the fight scenes are amazing. I mean, you've got the dudes who look like they're straight out of Street Fighter. No, it's great. The whole film is great. It's a lot of fun. You got weird. At the end, you even have like weird, creepy creatures. You got like a werewolf looking thing and all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah, the shaggy like it's almost like a half Yeti, half werewolf type thing, and it's actually hanging on to
Yeah,
Jack's truck. You got the Guardian that's nothing but eyeballs and everything. You got
But I will
that
say,
creature.
without Lo Pen, it's not a top film for me. I mean, James Hong contributes so much to it. He contributes so much to it.
Yeah, it's James Hong as Lo Pan. He is, I think, one of the more underrated movie villains of the 1980s.
Actors,
I really do.
You could say actors. You remember that guy from Blade Runner?
Yeah, he plays one of the scientists who helps Tyrell build the replicants. Does their eyes?
Dude, he's so good. Another highly
He
underrated
is.
guy.
I will say this. Whether you liked the show or you hated it, at least the earlier season when he's more involved, him playing the waiter or the owner of the Chinese restaurant in Big Bang Theory, I love the fact that I loved the fact that he would give the guys hell, especially Sheldon. I loved him in those scenes. You can actually, I think you can find a compilation of his scenes from Big Bang Theory somewhere on YouTube. I'd almost guarantee it.
Dude,
And
okay, real quick, have you seen Kung Fu Panda?
I saw the first one. I have not seen the two sequels, but it's been a real long time since I saw the first one.
Oh my god! I mean, Kung Fu Panda is really underrated.
Oh,
I mean, those films honestly mean a lot to me. Kung Fu Panda 2 in particular. Kung Fu Panda 2 is almost a formational movie for me. It's so good. And James Hong as Poe's dad, dude, at the end has such a great fucking scene. He's so good. He's fucking good. As a voice actor, as an actor, the dude is totally undervalued.
He is. James Hong is. He really is. And I don't know how much longer he's going to be around, but we better appreciate him for while he is still around, because one day
he got a star. Did you see that? He got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I heard about that. I heard about that, and I was very happy to hear that, because this is a guy that really deserves that star, because, you know, him as Lo Pan, he's one of the standout performances of the movie. Kurt Russell will always be awesome, but I have to say my other favorite performance, like her or hate her and whatever the case, Kim Cattrall as Gracie Law. I loved her in this movie. I loved her in Big Trouble. And I loved her pink Cadillac.
Pan.
I did.
Over Lo Pan?
No. Just as much.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just as much. I enjoyed her performance just as much as I did I liked James Hong as Lo Pan.
Well, see, dude, for that movie, Lo Pan is really, to me, the intrigue of the film. You meet him at the very beginning, and he's like a spiritual creature. And the story with him is so weird and intriguing and stuff. So
yeah.
Well,
here's the thing. Go ahead. Go ahead, Zach. The floor is yours.
Well, you see Lo Pan as several different characters throughout the film. It's very weird, and you see like a unique portrayal for sure. I mean, you see him, old man Lo Pan. I mean, to me, that's worth the fucking award right there. James Hong is the old man, but I mean, the spiritual weird.
You're not wrong.
Dude, seeing him floating around and he's got the bride character, it's all very weird and unique. you know, and his powers are intriguing, and you see the other guys have the powers. Very interesting.
Mm.
But Lopan to me is a key into that film for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, here's you think about this. This is John Carpenter's take on kind of like a exploitation type of film, like a black exploitation film or a prison exploitation film. But here's the thing: the culture is not being exploited; it's being put on display for everyone to see and appreciate, and that's Chinese culture. And their mythology, their a little bit of their history, all those sorts of things. You're seeing all the different facets from the really obscure to the more prominently known aspects of Chinese culture, and that is a beautiful and a wonderful thing. And then you mix in a lot of great action scenes. You have a really eclectic cast of actors and actresses. I mean, you've got Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, James Hong, the guy that plays Egg Shen. I can't think of him off the top of my head. You've got the three guys that play the Storms. You've got Margot. You've got cousin Eddie. It's like Margot said. It's like this strange, out of this world Alice in Wonderland. And probably the title of her story was Big Trouble in Little China. Oh, Zach. Damn it. No, Zach, when you get back, we'll do Mad Max. We'll do at least Road Warrior. Magic. The darkest magic. My soul swims in it. Okay, I'll do one more quote from Big Trouble while Zach is gone. Are you really serious about this? Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, Daniel. Yeah, like the 70s kung fu genre with Carpenter's supernatural spin on it. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. You see, it's when Egg Shen is with the lawyer, and he's holding up his hands. He's like, "How can I believe that?" And Egg is like, "How?" The lawyer's like, "Yes, yeah, help me out here." And Egg holds up his hands, and you see those few bolts of magical lightning.
Oh,
You
wow.
See that?
Badass.
That was nothing. That was nothing. But that's how it begins.
Badass.
Very small. Very small.
Dude, badass. That's one of the great scenes. But also, like, even starting the film off in a antiquities shop to me is cool. You know, it all goes towards the idea.
It wasn't an antiquity shop. It was the
restaurant.
law office.
Are you sure?
No, the lawyer's office. Yes.
What am I thinking of? Goonies? No, not Goonies. I mean Gremlins.
No.
Gremlins. Okay.
So, okay. Well, we're going to go for a little bit longer, but we're going to tackle one more. This is I would consider a dystopian sci-fi film, and we're just going to cover the one for now anyways. We might come back to the other 2 or 3 if we ever get around to it. And that is, of course, The Road Warrior. Mad Max, The Road Warrior, starring Mel Gibson.
Wow.
This was my introduction to the Mad Max universe, because I had never seen Road Warrior, or I had never seen Mad Max, the original one. And there's a lot of theories around the Mad Max movies, particularly the sequels and so on. I mean, Mad Max, The Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, even Fury Road. But we'll stick
Thunderdome.
You don't like Beyond Thunderdome?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Okay. Well,
first and the second.
We can at least just. Fair enough. I mean, granted, I've only seen Beyond Thunderdome maybe like 2, maybe 3 times all the way through. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't really rebut or anything or refute that. So, but the Road Warrior, oh yeah, that one I've seen more times I can count, and great premise, great performances. I love the twist at the end. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love the twist at the end where it isn't even the tanker and the convoy, and he opens up the spigot to the tanker, and it's nothing but sand. And later on, you see the cars that have left the compound, and they're the ones carrying the gas, or what they call the juice. And the whole thing was just a diversion.
It is really
And the only one who
well, dude,
Mhm.
I mean, the film is a bloodthirsty masterpiece. I mean,
It is.
the final duel is a very extensive, highway chase sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Just outstanding, out fucking standing. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
Mel Gibson as a lead actor, you can't get much better than him.
Mm-mm. You want to get out of here? You talk to me. I can't deliver it as good as Gibson can, but great line, great quote.
So is Road Warrior the one with those two freaky dudes? Like you got the little small guy on top of the other guy?
Oh, you mean at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Are you talking about the giant and the guy that rides on the giant's back?
Yeah. Is that part 3?
That's
part
Thunderdome.
2.
No,
Really?
that's part 3. That's Master Blaster. That's Beyond Thunderdome. Mm-hmm. Master is the brains. Blaster is the muscle.
Yeah. I hate Thunderdome.
And
I mean, really, what ruined it for me is fucking Tina Turner. Is that who it was? Oh, she was terrible. And I will say this about
I will let me just real quick.
all right. Yeah.
I'll say this. It was I know it does. It has grown a very large a cult following, and I will by no means speak ill of the dead because unfortunately she has recently passed. But her casting as one of the lead characters in Beyond Thunderdome was somewhat puzzling to me, because she is first and foremost a singer and a musician. She is not an actress. I think this is the only time in her career that she ever did act in anything.
Really?
It could have come down. It could have come down to the script. It could have come down to the direction, or it could just have come down to her lack of ability as an actor. So, but that's a lot of variables there. But at the same time, I will say this of Road Warrior. It has some of the best, I think, cinematography of any of the films. And the set design really sucks you in. The thing I like best about the Road Warrior, if I'm remembering correctly, is the intro that uses a lot of old newsreel footage to show the collapse of the world, and then shows a little bit of footage from the first movie, Mad Max, or anything where we're introduced to Mel Gibson's character Max. That for me is one of the best opening intros for a movie that I have seen. There's only one that's somewhat better. Well, okay, I'm not going to say somewhat better, but that I think is just as good. And that is, of course, the opening prologue opening with Rafael de Laurentiis for the 1984 Dune, where where De Laurentiis does the voiceover, and you have all the artwork of the war between humanity and the machines, and it's kind of like a prologue.
Is that
And then
the Lynch Dune?
yes,
Okay.
that is right there. I think not to get off on a big tangent, but that for me is one of the best intros for a film that I've seen. I like now. There's actually here's the interesting thing. There are actually two intros for the original Dune. There's a version I just talked about with the voiceover and the artwork explaining the prehistory of the Dune universe, and then there's the one with Virginia Madsen as Princess Irulan, um, doing the narration of everything, and you actually see her, and she's the Emperor's daughter, the same character that Florence Pugh is playing in
Yeah.
Dune Part 2.
Fuck
But-
that movie.
Well,
Hate
if
it.
it wasn't for the
I hate it. You know what? I mean,
I know.
all the casting is terrible. The Emperor was a fucking loser. What are we doing? It's like if it
But,
weren't
well,
for
here,
okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break in like this. If it weren't for Denis Villeneuve, my Dune interest would be at zero.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Think about this.
Okay,
Really think about this, Zach.
I will.
If Lynch had never done that one and had never done as badly as it had, no one would have given anyone a second chance to do it right.
Well, David Lynch, dude, I mean, that's another behind the scenes type of thing. All I will say about that is David said they massacred his film. And he said, this is a quote, because I love David. I love David. I love him. But I'm not a fan really of his films. But I love him as a guy, as a filmmaker.
Yeah, fair
like
enough.
you listen to him talk. That's an original guy. So David said, and I quote, Dune is a sadness in my life. That's how he described it. He said the studio wrestled control of the film away from him. So we don't really know what David was going for.
From what I have heard, damn, we only talked about Mad Max for 10 seconds we've talked about Road Warrior for like 2 minutes. Now we're on Dune.
Yeah, well, Road Warrior, fucking badass. And I would say my favorite Mad Max film up until Fury Road, which kind of, this is really sad, knocked those other films into irrelevancy, at least in my opinion. I mean, Road Warrior to me was a favorite for a long, long time. Fury Road came in and massacred them. But I will say, you've got the same guy directing them. You've got George Miller, who is one of the all-time greats. How do you judge a great? You judge a guy based on his ability to switch genres, a guy who can be successful in multiple endeavors, a guy who was successful with kids, Happy Feet, a guy who was successful with adults, the Mad Max franchise. So a guy who really, I mean, led the way for protecting practical effects with Fury Road, a guy who I have a great deal of respect for. George Miller, dude, to me is a made guy. He also crossed into fantasy recently. He did that movie, that weird fucking, I didn't even see it, but I should. He did whatever movie, his last film. But George Miller, a made guy.
I say this with a degree of sadness. I have never seen Fury Road, and I really need to.
Oh, well, dude, Tarantino said, going back to Tarantino said Mad Max Fury Road was the best film of whatever year it came out. I think we're talking 2015, 2014. Tarantino said he
somewhere along in there, yeah.
But Tarantino said he got the film, he got the print. He got the print of the film. So not just a digital, he got the print, and he said he watched it 3 times in a row. If that's not a stamp of approval, I don't know what to tell you. Watched it 3 times in a fucking row.
You know, there's only been a handful of, here's the thing. There's only been a handful of movies I've ever, put in a player, whether it was a VHS player or a DVD player or a Blu-ray or a 4K player, and watched it, within either that same day or in the span of a few days apart from each other. Empire is one of them. Jedi is one of them. The original Star Wars is one of them.
Yeah.
This is one that's going to surprise you. Maybe a little, maybe it won't. Because I heard it came out when I was in high school, and it was right around the time when we got our VCR. The original Scream. The original, the first one. The first one. I was like, because here's the thing. I wanted to go back and watch and see if I could find the clues or find the red herring and everything and go, okay, this is where they misdirected me and this is who it actually was.
Yeah.
Because I will always love the original Scream. For me, Scream ended after Scream 3. I loved Scream 3. I think it has one of the most satisfying conclusions. I did watch Scream 4, but it was a little bit lacking, and I haven't watched any of the others since then.
I don't blame you. I watched a little bit of the Scream TV show and just shut the fucking thing off.
I heard there was a TV show. I never even bothered.
Yeah, don't bother.
Scream was never meant to, for me, it was never meant to be a TV show. It was a movie series, and for me, more to the point, a trilogy. Because that for me is one of the better horror or slasher trilogies around. Yeah,
is that
Daniel
Wes Craven?
Martin. That
Is
was
it?
Wes Craven.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that guy is spectacular. Also, the Freddy Krueger guy.
Here's the crazy thing. I never cared for Freddy, but now that I've gotten older, I almost feel like I need to go back and revisit them.
No, the only one you need to go back and watch is the original. The original is really a masterpiece. Spectacular.
It is. No,
it is. It really is.
I'm saying no. I agree. I agree with you, but
but the thing is, I'm not talking out of my ass. I mean, I have reasons.
I know
for that. That first one is so fucking good, dude.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Here's the thing. I never watched like the Michael Myers, like the Halloween movies or the Friday the 13th movies for the story or anything else. You know what I watched them for, including Jason X, where he goes into space and into the future. You want to know why I watched those movies? To see what twisted, warped, yet creative way the writers came up with to kill the teenagers.
Well, let me throw this at you. Somebody, dude, we're pursuing to be the narrator of Dark Space is Kane Hodder.
You're going after the quintessential Jason?
Yeah, I'm willing to spend I'm willing to spend about $2,500. We'll see what happens. But dude, Kane Hodder, people don't get it. Not only does he have appeal and does he have like a built-in fan base, he's got one of the greatest voices, but unfortunately he's never been really allowed to use it. If you take just go and take a look at him doing an interview. He's got this deep, rich, great voice, but you never get to hear it.
No, I've actually heard him talk a few times, but the only reason I watched those movies, like
if I get my way, he'll be in it.
That'd be awesome. That'd be really, really cool, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. Kane Hodder, right on.
Underrated.
Very. This I think has been, and I want to thank you for coming on tonight, Zach, because I think we are going to wrap up here in just a minute. I think this is by far one of my. I know we kind of went on a few rabbit trails, but this is why I do these streams like this, to give my friends, to give my community a chance to come in and share their ideas, talk about the movies they love, introduce me to movies I've not seen before, or give me incentive for reasons why I should see movies I have not seen before. I may not get a bunch of views for this or for these streams, but that's not the point. I do this for you all, but I also do it for myself because I enjoy it. Again, sorry for the first 15 minutes. I may go back and trim this up and pick up where I should have. But great conversation. Zach, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for all the insight. Thank you for the great ideas. Thank you for the recommendations, for the laughs, all of it. I do want to let y'all know. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. Always a great time.
Zach.
Guys, the Ambassadorial Wing, another underrated guy. We'll just have to see what he comes up with. But
I appreciate it.
I have a little bit of an inside track. This guy's a great writer, a great talent, and we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm trying. It's
no. No, don't undercut what I just said. No, he's great, guys. Ambassadorial Wing.
I'm not Thank you. I do want to let you all know I will plan another one of these. I will plan another one of these ambassadorial cinemas for not this coming weekend or next week, but the week after. I'm trying to do them on a every other week, a bi-weekly schedule, so it gives me time to research films, watch films, and come up with a theme or a topic for these ambassadorial cinemas. I may switch the time and everything to where I can have more of my friends who live across the pond or overseas, give them an opportunity to come on board and everything, because I did one a couple of weeks ago. It feels like longer now. And did a matinee edition of Ambassadorial Cinema. I want to let you all know next month, August, which is just a few days away, going to be starting a brand new review series, me and Madam Ambassador, for the lead up to her birthday, and also a little bit of a lead up to the prequel, if it still stays on its planned release date, a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But for Madam Ambassador's birthday, we will be reviewing the Hunger Games films, and that is obviously Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and we haven't discussed it as of yet, but we're going to either do Mockingjay parts 1 and 2 as one stream, but we might do it as two, but we don't know as of yet. I'm actually, and also a preview for September, which is, of course, my birthday month. Going to return to this very particular genre of film, sci-fi, but going to be picking, I've already picked out my films for September. I'll go ahead and tell you all now. That way you can all pass the word along your avenues on social media, and I'll, of course, pop this up there too. I'm picking 2 from the Ultra Retro era and 2 from the Retro era. The 2 from the Ultra Retro era are from the 1950s, as, of course, the original original film version of War of the Worlds, and one of the landmark films of the 1950s in terms of the sci-fi genre, Forbidden Planet, starring a very young Leslie Nielsen and a very old but still distinguished Walter Pidgeon. And from the retro era, I'll be doing a review of a very campy, very cheesy, very slapsticky, in a manner of speaking, and by no means, by any means, a faithful adaptation of its original source material, Starship Troopers. But also going to do a review of a very underrated but a very good adaptation, and I think a very well done remake of a old sci-fi classic, also in terms of the book and the original film, Well, yeah, it is. No, never strike that. It's a kind of a play off of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but isn't. It's called The Puppet Masters, starring a favorite of me and Zach's, Mr. Donald Sutherland. So,
Absolutely.
anyways, folks, thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank the chat. I want to thank everybody who watched on YouTube or Twitter. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Of course, as always, smash the like button, share it out. And if you come across this stream and you enjoyed the discussion, even though it was muted at some points, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification, and set it for all. That way you know when I upload, when I go live, or when I put out a short.
And let me also say, real quick, sorry to interrupt you, my friend.
No.
Check me and Ambassadorial Wing out on Top Shelf TV. Link down in the chat. Top Shelf TV. Me and the Ambassadorial Wing, we've got like 5 new videos out. Check us out.
Yes, absolutely. Go over and check out Top Shelf TV. Have a great time. I always have a great time with Zach. We do a lot of good discussions. We're actually going to be starting a new series of videos. I'm not going to say too much.
Yes,
because I want you all
no.
to...
Let's give a little taste. We're fictional fight.
Okay.
Commentary. Amazing.
Fictional final battle or fictional battle, cinematic battle, analysis and commentary.
Yes.
And I've already come up with a whole list, but I'm not going to spoil it. You'll have to check out Top Shelf TV and check out those videos that me and Zach have put together for y'all. A lot of good stuff there. So, but anyways, folks, thank you all for being here tonight. This is actually one of the longer streams, and I actually really enjoyed it. So, we will see you all next time. Yeah. Thank you, Zach, for being here. As always, stay ambassadorial. And what do I mean by that? Be respectful. Be yourself. Be authentic. If you do all those things, you will always have a place in the ambassadorial wing. And until next time, these are the ambassadors. Signing off.
Let's be friends.
Have you not?
And here